One while other players got standard gear for 10 years of global train survival on planet. Blue with billions of competitors, Gang Mayang gets a Plants vs. Zombies hand. 1. Sunflower 1 pea shooter and a sun economy on a steam train, formerly Gang Mayang. Was a farming grad student transmigrated mid-swing. Suddenly, his hint panel pings. The legendary Plants vs. Zombies system is bound to his soul, turning his train garden into a defense zone against terrifying giant armored zombies. This absurd survival cheat is something absolutely nobody can counter. Take 2 seconds right now to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Your incredible support keeps these epic recaps coming. All of this madness started on a remarkably quiet, ordinary morning. Let us head back. First, a freezing and pungent aroma of rusted metal and heavy engine oil is what wakes him up. He snaps his eyes open on a hard iron floor, surrounded by heavy riveted walls gleaming with a harsh industrial chill. A massive dark boiler sits nearby, taking up almost all the room. He has only seen these in old documentaries, a coal-fired steam engine, but this one looks brand new, with a sleek, glowing blue control panel bolted directly into the cold iron. Looking completely bizarre against the retro steam machinery, groaning in pain, he gently rubs the back of his throbbing head, realizing his normal farming clothes are gone, replaced by a generic black tracksuit, and his trusted shovel has vanished into thin air. He mutters aloud, wondering where on earth he was just dumped. His memory remains locked onto the quiet experimental fields of Hanam Provincial Agricultural University. He vividly remembers swinging his shovel at a stray farm chicken that ruined his graduation thesis, the high-yield corn he painstakingly grew from dawn till dusk for half a year, before he can even process this crazy environment. A robotic synthesized voice echoes inside his skull as red text floats across his eyes. Over 3.7 billion players, aged 18 to 50, are online, welcoming them to the global train survival game and explaining that Planet Blue is frozen in time. He does not need to worry about his parents back home, because this brutal survival cycle lasts 10 years, restoring everyone to perfect health and granting total freedom. The system details his starting equipment: an initial steam engine, a carriage, and a beginner gift pack with a single metal shovel, 10 pieces of coal, a 1-liter canteen of water, and 3 military biscuits. The AI instructs him to think the words attribute panel or talent to view his exclusive powers. He lets out a deep breath, thankful his parents are safe back home, while his ruined college crop is now nothing but digested chicken feed. Time to get moving. Having read countless fantasy web novels and played endless games, this bizarre scenario feels remarkably familiar. He almost laughs, summoning the attribute menu. A semi-transparent screen pops up in front of him. His registration is just a massive string of numbers he ignores. His physical constitution is 8, showing he has solid farm-strength bones. His quick nerve reaction is also at 8, fueled by youthful reflexes. Amazingly, his mental spirit sits at 10/10, which the system marks as the absolute human limit, hinting at natural talent. Intrigued by this, he wastes no time and calls up his talent screen. The display changes to reveal his exclusive passive trait, Hint Panel Level 1. Currently sitting at 0 experience, it lets him expend 1 spirit point to inspect any object, revealing deeper levels of details as the skill rank scales upward. It mocks him, saying he can see through everything, and only seeing names is his fault. That is his problem. His mouth twitches at the wording, but he will take it. A flashing icon in the corner of his vision catches his eye, and he pokes it open. 2 channels exist, Planet Blue and Korea, both grayed out for player chat and limited to system announcements. They warned him this is a real survival world where he will still get hungry, thirsty, bleed, and die. The mist crawling outside the windows is full of monsters and only retreats between 8 in the morning and 8 at night. That the train is his sanctuary, which he must modify and upgrade. That the chat system only works inside. No one can board his train without his permission until durability hits 0. Traveling along the tracks leads to stations where the mist never reaches, where resources and danger both wait. Regional channel 9996 is lit with 10,000 players online, and his send button shows he gets 5 daily messages. The regional channel is an absolute torrent. Someone is screaming about being dragged naked from the shower and dressed in an ugly tracksuit. Someone is panicking because they have no license and are asked to operate a train. A paralyzed player is sobbing, "Thank you to the developers because he Can walk and jump again after 3 years in a wheelchair, someone claiming to be. A wealthy faction leader is offering to carry weaker players, and a guy named Fireball is bragging about awakening a fireball talent. He curls his lip and closes the box. 5 messages a day, and these idiots are wasting theirs crying for help. He won't join them. A familiar little melody plays in his head, and oh man, the opening notes of Plants vs. Zombies, and he freezes. The system pings, announcing a Plants vs. Zombies modded version has bound to him successfully. Sun value is at 0. The only unlocked plant is the sunflower, and the system needs 100 sun value to reach the next level. He clicks the sunflower with his mind, and a green panel rolls open, listing seed conversion at 20 sun value per 1 ordinary sunflower seed. Planting requires 500 grams of ordinary soil. It consumes 500 milliliters of fresh water and 1 converted seed. Growth time is 1 hour, outputting 1 sun value every 10 minutes, provided it gets sunlight. He pats his pockets out of pure reflex, knowing there is nothing in them. Of course, sun value does not fall from the sky here. He stares at the glaring 0 on the panel, realizing this is the classic chicken. An egg trap. Plant a sunflower to make sun, except you need sun first. He sighs and walks toward the train window. Cheat systems never strand you. At the entry stage, there has to be a workaround, and standing in the sun to see what happens beats sitting around waiting to die. Outside, the grayish white mist is dissolving in real time, and warm golden sunlight pours across his face. Nothing happens for a moment, but then his gaze catches a line. Currently loaded plants are set to none. He clicks the option, and a pop-up reveals he can load the sunflower for 1 point of spirit. Selecting it instantly, a pale yellow icon flashes in the corner of his retina, telling him sun value +1. He pumps his fist. He is the sunflower. The implications hit. Right away, he starts daydreaming. If he is a walking sunflower, what about a walking Gatling pea or a walking Cobb cannon? One-man army standing on a speeding train, hurling artillery at those zombie tides. He almost wipes away the drool from his mouth. Before snapping back to reality, first things first, he turns to the control panel, which has only a single line telling him to add fuel. He dumps 10 of his newbie gift pack coal chunks into the fuel intake and pulls the panel up. It shows him that his configuration is an initial steam locomotive +1 initial carriage. The fuel compartment sits at 10/100. Current location is the landing point. Next stop, the abandoned wilderness small station. Max speed is 50. Current time 8:10 in the morning with start, stop, and search buttons. The search is on cooldown for 11 hours and 50 minutes. This panel is a half-finished product. No fuel consumption rate, no mileage. Information is life in a survival game, so he aims his talent at the console and burns a point of spirit. Light blue text fills in the blanks, telling him the total train weight is 30. Locomotive durability is 300. Initial carriage is 100/100. The next stop is 150 units away, and fuel consumption at max speed is 1 unit of coal per 60 minutes. He does the math in his head. 150 distance at 50 speed is 3 hours. 1 coal per hour, 3 coals to get there. Out of 10, 30% of his reserves for 1 trip. If the next station does not cough up fuel, he can only reach 2 more stops, and getting stranded in the open at night with the mist rolling in is a death sentence. He presses the start button. The old steam train coughs white smoke. The chassis vibrates, the wheels grind into motion, and the chugging picks up speed. He leaves the sunflower on him to keep generating sun and steps through the iron door into the initial carriage. The walls are brand new sheet metal with only 2 bolted machines in the corners. The left one lights up under his touch, showing the workbench base with a crafting list of coal, shovel, simple single bed, and 4-piece bedding set. He hovers over coal. The system tells him crafting requires power, and power means burning fuel. He cannot manufacture coal without coal. The simple single bed needs 10 units of wood, which he does not have. The other machine is a recycling station for cotton, linen, wood, and iron products. Conversion rate is 10%. He almost spits blood. 10 shovels in to recover the materials for 1. This is a scam, but it is the only conversion path he has. Hardcore start, resource management above all else. He closes the carriage door, returns to the locomotive, leans against the window, and basks. The sunflower ticks at 1 point per 10 minutes, painfully slow. He opens the chat channel out of boredom, and his pupils Shrink, only 9,954 players left out of 10,000, already down, probably. The panicked ones who got off the train. 3 hours later, the brakes scream and the train shudders to a halt. The system announces arrival at the abandoned Wilderness Small Station. He grabs his shovel, slings his canteen, and steps off. Cautiously, the platform concrete is cracked and crusted with dark filth, and the only sound is wind moaning through the broken waiting hall, dilapidated. Tables and chairs scatter the interior, shadows in the corners. He is in no hurry to enter because two gray treasure chests sit on the platform, looking. They look exactly like newbie freebies, and in survival games, those are how you die. He aims his talon at the left chest, burning a spirit point. The text reads, a gray resource box containing 10 pieces of coal, 2 iron blocks, and a wild dog. The prompt warns him that the dog is just waiting for some unlucky person to open it and deliver takeout. Its teeth carry a fatal rabies virus, and getting bitten without medicine means an early game over. His heart lurches and a cold sweat breaks out immediately. If he had just walked over and popped that lid open, he would already be a dead man. Next, he aims at the right chest, spending another point of spirit. This one contains 5 compressed biscuits and 5 pieces of coal, plus 3 raw melon seeds. The prompt adds that these are actually raw sunflower seeds. They are leftovers but genuinely good. His pupils constrict at the sight. Sunflower seeds. Without that hint panel, he would have opened the dog box first. Talk about a close call. No way is he letting him bite him in this life or the next. He strides straight over to the right chest, flips the latch, and the lid pops open, revealing 5 chunks of coal, 5 neat packs of compressed biscuits, and 3 tiny sunflower seeds in the corner. 3 seeds will not even fill a gap in his teeth, but right now they are more valuable than gold. He pinches one. The system identifies it as a common item, a raw melon seed in intact condition, and asks whether to spend 20 sun value for a magic mod conversion. He checks his balance and almost groans. 3 hours of sunbathing leaves him at exactly 19, 1 point short. The game is clearly mocking him. Fine, he will wait. He sits on the resource box, palms the seed, and thrusts his hands and face into the sun, eyes flicking toward the hall every few seconds. Out of habit, he tries opening the chat to kill some time, but nothing happens. The status screen will not respond either. Cold sweat breaks out again until he sprints back to the train. He calls the panel and it pops right open. He posts a tentative question in the chat, asking if others lose system access outside their trains. Within 2 minutes, the entire channel completely explodes, with endless confirmations and curses about the exact same issue. Suddenly, everything clicks. The game is forcing players to stay sharp with their own senses, not the panel. He heads back outside, but a second realization stops him dead: his own hint panel. Golden fingers still work off the train. That powerful talent belongs to him. The Constitution stats are just a label on what he always possessed. His heart settles. 10 minutes later, the balance ticks to 20. He concentrates on converting it. His palm warms up, green light flashes, and the shriveled seed rounds out and plumps up. With a tiny smiling face on the shell, the system confirms the magical mod, naming the sunflower seed his source of hope. As long as there is light, it will keep producing energy. He exhales slowly and tucks it safely into his inner pocket. He cannot leave the remaining supplies exposed out on the open platform, so he tries to drag the heavy box, but it refuses to budge. A hard shovel thump shatters the chest, dropping the contents on the ground. 2 quick trips later, all the coal, biscuits, and remaining seeds are stacked in his locomotive cabin. He places the modified seed on the control console with absolute reverence, like someone shelving a priceless heirloom. If anything in this carriage gets scratched, it cannot be this precious seed. The waiting hall is next. He stands at the doorway. His eyes adjust to the dark. Mold and dust scratch his throat as his gaze lands on something. 5 flower pots sitting in the corner, for someone who needs to plant a sunflower. Those pots and soil look better than any food. Squatting low, he pinches a sample of dirt. It is dry, hard, dusty, crumbling at the very first squeeze. There is no organic matter and no moisture. He has studied agriculture long enough to spot dead soil at a glance. Dirt this dead cannot hold water or any plant roots. Besides, he has no water to spare on garbage dirt. He drops it and stands, spotting 2 rolled-away mineral water bottles under some chairs. They are sealed and clean according to the hint. They go straight into his backpack, a total free win. Then he sees a door in the back. Slightly open, the peeling sign says security room, and through the crack is a ghastly white swaying shape. He hunches over, creeps along the wall, stops 5 meters away, and spends another point of spirit on the hint panel. The target details appear. Zombified guard, undead, Constitution 10, nerve reaction speed of 1 with stiff joints. It wanders blindly. Its weakness is the head, the location of its central nervous system. It has incredibly acute hearing that catches footsteps but ignores heartbeats. It has ruined vision and carries the zombie virus. Behind the monster, a box glows white on a metal shelf. He wants that box. The room is tight, and if the creature traps him in a corner, its raw strength is enough to break his neck, but it has acute hearing. He grabs a fist-sized stone from the floor. He hefts it, then throws it toward a metal trash can on the opposite side of the hallway. The sudden metallic clang echoes through the quiet hall, and a low growl rumbles from the security office. The door slams open. A ragged uniform stumbles right out, grayish-white. Eyeballs roll, blackened, decaying skin hangs loose from rotting cheeks, and the beast rushes straight for the trash can, leaving its back completely exposed. He moves. The raw power built from swinging a hoe in experimental fields explodes. His feet plant firmly, his waist drives his spine, and his arms swing. A heavy shovel in a massive arc. The blade whistles down, hitting the back of the zombie skull. No fancy moves, just a simple, deadly strike. The dull impact sounds like a hammer crushing a watermelon, followed by a loud snap of bone. The head deforms and the creature drops instantly. The body crumbles. Like a heavy sack of wet sand, he stands panting, shovel raised in defense, staring down at the corpse while fighting a wave of sudden nausea. Before he can catch his breath, the corpse flickers like a glitching hologram and dissolves into black particles of light that vanish, leaving the dusty floor spotless. Talk about convenient. This system is acting like a literal video game, without a dead body to look at. The disgust fades. He wipes his brow, breathes deeply, and steps inside the security office. The white supply box is waiting right there. He backs up 2 meters and spends another point of spirit. In this cruel world, running in blind means death. The box contains 1 riot fork, a stab-proof vest, a high-intensity flashlight, and a pack of braised beef noodles. There is also 24 bottles of pure water, but look at this next line. A trap will trigger. The bottom of the box connects to a spatial teleportation node. The second he lifts that lid, a hungry zombie will teleport right in. Spawning barely half a meter from that chest makes his scalp prickle with dread. That is closer than his own forearm, making the long shovel completely useless. A monster would tear his throat out in a blink. Without his cheat talent, he is dead. Whoever designed this sick game is twisted, but the chest contains absolute god-tier loot. Inside is precious survival gear, water, fresh rations, protective armor, and a weapon. There is also a riot fork, and he will not walk away even if it kills him. Since the heavy chest cannot be moved, he has to open it right here. Stepping into the dark hallway, his eyes scan around as a plan quickly forms. If the zombie wants to spawn directly in his face, he will build a barrier. Leaning his shovel aside, he begins dragging a heavy wooden desk across the floor. He wedges it horizontally, about 1.5 meters away from the chest. Next, he slams rows of heavy metal chairs against the desk to anchor it. Mop handles and scrap would plug every single loose gap. This creates a solid fortress, with only 1 narrow gap to strike through. Sweat and dust completely drench him by the time the work is done. But this makeshift trap is a thing of beauty, and he nods with absolute satisfaction. This is the art of being prepared. He takes his place behind the desk. Sliding the long shovel handle through the narrow gap, he unhooks the latch. With a quick flick of the blade, he pops the lid. A sudden roar explodes. A dark figure materializes out of nowhere, lunging directly at him with pure rage. That impact is insane. The monster slams the desk, sliding the chairs back. The timber groans loudly, but his defense holds. The zombie is totally stuck. Its upper half is jammed against the wood, while the lower body is wedged tight. Decayed arms claw wildly across the surface, its mouth snapping open and closed. Red eyes bulge with hunger, yet the delicious prey remains safely out of reach. He calmly ignores the terrible screeching and prepares to swing his shovel. The first strike whistles down, instantly shattering the creature's flailing wrist. A second blow crushes its shoulder, nearly ripping the decaying body in half. Sharp fingernails scratch uselessly against the wood, completely blocked by the bracing. Putting his whole body behind the final strike, he brings the blade down. The skull shatters like a melon, the noise stops, and the monster goes limp. With a flash of black light, the remains dissolve as he collapses. His muscles ache deeply, feeling like absolute jelly after the struggle. Though the kill looked simple, trust me, his heart is still racing wildly. After resting a bit, he finally clears the barricade to reach the chest. The first item he pulls out is a high-grade tactical protective vest. It is made of sturdy materials, specifically built to resist slashing attacks. The description notes it cannot stop bullets, but protects against claws and teeth. This armor is essentially a second life. He quickly strips off his jacket. He straps the vest on tight under his shirt, feeling the dense weight. Next is a stainless steel riot fork, measuring a full 2 meters long. It features a wide crescent tip, designed with perfect balance in mind. This lets him lock a target's limbs and pin them from 2 meters away. The system rates it as the ultimate tool for handling solo melee monsters. Combined with his trusty shovel, he is basically a 5-star defensive general. But he confirms the gear is great: 24 packs of braised beef noodles and 24 bottles of pure water are absolutely priceless. He hums a little tune like a hardworking hamster hauling the loot back to his carriage in batches. The corner of the carriage now holds a small, reassuring mound of survival supplies. There is coal, water, instant noodles, riot weapons, a stab-proof vest, and the seed in his pocket. A solid start. He sits on the floor, unscrews his canteen, and gulps cold water down his parched throat. It feels like coming back to life, he tells himself to stop savoring, looking out the window at the gray box left abandoned. On the far left edge of the platform, coal, iron, and a rabies-carrying wild dog. Half an hour ago, he would have run from that fast, toxic monster. But now he is wearing stab-proof armor and gripping a 2-meter weapon. The hunter look settles into his eyes. Honestly, watching him lock in like this is incredible. He plants himself 2 meters from the gray box and takes a deep breath. He hooks the metal fork onto the latch and jerks upward. The lid pops open, and a mangy black shape covered in oozing sores rockets out behind a torrent of mad, vicious barking. This beast is even faster than the zombie. Its hind legs kick as it lunges directly for his throat with snapping fangs. He drives forward instead of retreating, punching the riot fork out to catch its neck midair. The heavy impact rattles down the metal shaft, turning his thumb completely numb. But he plants his feet and pins the mad beast suspended in the air. It twists, claws raking empty air, while foul saliva drips just a meter away. But the 2-meter fork acts as an absolute shield. 1 inch longer is 1 inch stronger. The old sayings were completely right. He pins the fork down using his weight, grabs the shovel with his free hand, and slams the blade down twice, flattening the creature's head. It yelps once and dissolves into black light. No corpse. The chest yields 10 units of coal and 2 iron ingots, which he quickly ferries back to the carriage. The moment the door closes, overwhelming exhaustion crashes in. His stomach growls painfully, and the interface console warns him it has been well over 3 hours since he first stepped off the train. Sitting by the window, he tears open a compressed biscuit and washes it down. Dry, choking starch, but the most satisfying meal of his life. Checking his spirit stat, he sees it is currently at 4 out of 9 points. The true limit is 10, but reduced by 1 for the active sunflower. 5 uses of the hint system drained 5 spirit points. This talent is definitely not for spamming. Opening the regional chat, the remaining survivor count is a brutal reality check. Just 8,876 out of 10,000 remain. Over 1,000 players have died. The chat is suffocating. Someone desperately begs for medical supplies for a festering dog bite that will not stop bleeding and is turning black. Another player responds coldly, warning them that it is rabies. Just lie down and wait. Some desperately want to go home. Some are starving. And amid the weeping, a Fireball user laughs about blowing a zombie's head off. A self-identified retired Special Forces instructor posts the initial draft of a survival guide, warning players not to flee blindly from the slow but aggressive zombies. He advises that quick sidestepping works and that only direct head strikes kill. Without any grouping feature, survivors must hoard their critical starting resources. He strikes from the side. The spawn lunges, leaving him a clean shovel strike. He reads in silence. No team function is actually great news for him. A person is innocent, but wealth brings danger, and his massive carriage of supplies makes other humans way more dangerous than zombies. He leans back, closing his eyes to rest until 4 in the afternoon. The search Button remains gray, with hours left until 8 at night. Idle time is wasted. So he grabs his shovel and conducts a thorough search of the entire station for 2 full hours. Aside from the main hall and platform, the surroundings are blocked by an invisible wall with no exit. By 6, the sky looks fake and has not changed. He dumps the dead soil from 5 flower pots, leaving them temporarily useless, then begins to tally up his belongings: 15 coal, 9 compressed biscuits, 24 beef noodles, 26 bottles of pure water, 1 magic sunflower seed, and 2 raw melon seeds, plus 5 empty pots, an old canteen, 2 iron ingots, and his current gear. He has his vest, a riot fork, a shovel, and a high-intensity flashlight. Coal is sufficient. Food and water are fine for now. What he really needs is wood, iron, and cotton linen. Scanning the hall, he spots no more chests, just broken wooden tables and deformed iron trash cans. The recycling rate is a painful 10%, but quantity beats quality. Soon he turns himself into a porter. Curtains, tablecloths, rotting chairs, broken tables, and even the heavy desk he used to block the trap. He drags everything back to the carriage, one heavy piece at a time. Once the carriage fills up, he piles the rest onto the platform, checking the recycling station's energy cost using his last point of spirit. The system tells him 1 coal supports 36 minutes of processing, which is enough to chew through all his scrap. Coal is precious, but sleeping on cold steel slows down recovery and invites sickness. Long-term progress requires a bed and some clean bedding. He starts the machine. Gears grind, the furnace door opens and begins to rumble. He feeds it chair by chair, bucket by bucket, curtain by curtain, talking to himself as he goes, telling the rotten chair to get in, telling the rusty bucket to go, telling the moldy curtains to get lost. The grinding noise inside sounds like teeth on bone. 30 minutes later, the pile is gone. The machine spits out 12 units of wood, 2 iron ingots, and 10 units of cotton linen. His eyes light up, his fist clenching in excitement. That heavy desk yielded a massive pile of wood. Now he can craft a single bed in a 4-piece bedding set, with enough leftover material to build a small planting box. He is not sleeping on the freezing floor tonight. He mutters that he already has his pots. Now everything is ready except for the soil itself. He drops the new wood into the crafting table's slot and selects the simple wooden single bed. First, sure, weapons and food are vital, but core body temperature and deep sleep are what actually keep a man alive, since his spirit demand is high, meaning he needs proper, uninterrupted rest to recover his mental energy. The crafting machine hums to life, quieter than the furnace. He watches the wood slide inside as faint cutting sounds start up. The system countdown reads 30 minutes. Finally, his nerves relax a tiny bit. In the few hours since he was dragged into this global train survival game, he has survived 3 deadly encounters. At the wilderness station, first was the security room zombie, then the gray box rabid dog, and the trapped white chest. Every single one of them would have killed him if not for the hint panel. He uses this downtime to organize his carriage. Compressed biscuits and braised beef noodles go in one corner. The bottles of pure water line up on the opposite side, with the empty canteen on the outside. Iron ingots and wood stack up next to the recycling station. The riot fork and shovel rest neatly by the door. The crafting station pings 30 minutes later, and he lifts a brand new wooden bed out of the output port, plain, but extremely solid build, scented faintly with raw timber. He sets it under the window, loading the 4-piece bedding set next. Another 30 minutes pass. He leans against the window to watch the endless wilderness. The sun is still high, like some eternal oil painting, with absolutely no intention of setting. He wonders when this strange weather system will finally change, guessing this is just a novice protection period, because that first station was not too difficult. A blizzard or acid rain next would double the death count instantly in a brutal game that forces him to build his own bed. The crafting station pings again. He pulls out the rough cotton bedding sheets, which counts as luxury in this environment, complete with a pillowcase and a surprisingly decent thin quilt. He spreads the sheets, tucks the duvet cover, and places the pillow at the head. Suddenly, the carriage feels a little bit like home. Lying down, the sweet softness coaxes a grateful sigh from him. Talk about an upgrade. That cold steel floor is in his rear view forever. Quality rest is vital for mental recovery, because that hint panel is the only thing keeping him alive. If his energy drops and he cannot use his talent, it is over. Sitting up, he opens the regional chat. quieter now with only occasional messages drifting past. One person asks how to start a fire because their train has zero heating. And compressed biscuits are too hard to chew. Another replies to just be grateful. They survived since a mutant rat nearly slaughtered them. A third player complains. Their first station only yielded 5 coal and some basic food. He stays silent. 5 messages a day is too precious, and showing his hand now would be pure suicide. Active players read 8,821 of 10,000, dozens more dead. He walks to the front of the train around 8 at night and stands before the console. The search station button is currently gray with only minutes remaining. He watches the countdown tick through. 1958, 1959, 20, and the button turns green. He presses it. The boiler roars, the metal carriage vibrates, the power needle swings, and the display panel shows. Current power at 30, fuel at 5.34 of 100, estimated search is 1 hour, fuel consumption roughly 1 unit. He frowns. The heavy noise matches full speed travel, and this system calculates coal down to 2 decimal places like it is mocking him. 1 unit daily for searching. Loan means 30 a month, plus basic travel, crafting, and recycling, and fuel. Pressure is incredibly real. Fuel is his top priority. The sky turns pitch black. And the carriage lights snap on. A golden system announcement window pops up, informing him that the trading channel and shop open tomorrow morning at 8 in the morning. The trading channel shares its daily chat limit with the regional channel, and tomorrow's loot chests will contain survival coins drop as the unique currency of the trading shop, with details coming tomorrow. Players must enter the channel tomorrow. Already, the regional chat is absolutely exploding. Lurkers are everywhere. Someone wants food for coal, but others warn that every message costs precious limits. One guy wastes his last message anyway. Many start asking the top players for answers. They want to know what these survival coins are. Meanwhile, someone notices a pattern. The game clearly wants them killing monsters and looting chests. He just curls his lip. His carriage corner holds 24 packs of beef noodles and 26 bottles of clean water. In a brutal world where others cannot even find basic biscuits, this is an absolute fortune. Most players would kill for this. Tomorrow, he plans to watch the market prices closely. He wants to see if a little food can bait out the soil and blueprints he needs. A soft ping sounds, the hour-long search finishes, and the boiler quietly shuts down. The system alerts him that a brand new station has finally been discovered nearby. The Withered Garden station is found, instantly added to his navigation route. He pulls up his Plants vs. Zombies panel to check the status. Level 1 requires 100 sunlight to upgrade. Right now, he only has 50. He spent all day basking, slowly gathering 70 points of pure sunlight energy. 20 went into making the first seed, leaving him with exactly 50 points remaining. He stares at the screen as a major dilemma hits him. The upgrade needs 100. According to standard game logic, that should unlock the pea shooter, true offensive power. Even a simple pea shooter would skyrocket his safety, but he is only halfway there. If he saves his 50 and gets another 50 tomorrow, the shooter is unlocked. But what if this modified system unlocks something useless and he wastes those points? Alternatively, 50 sun could buy 2 more sunflower seeds right now. 3 sunflowers working together would triple his daily sun production, snowballing everything. The only catch is whether he can actually trade for planting soil tomorrow. The next stop is called Withered Garden. Surely there must be soil there. It is the classic choice, instant power versus long-term efficiency. He tosses and turns on his bed, mind racing with endless calculations. Let us be real in this place. One wrong move is all it takes to die. If the monsters at the next station are stronger, having no weapon is a death sentence. But if they are weak, his riot fork and shovel will handle them just fine. On the other hand, stacking sunflowers now makes future farming incredibly easy. System upgrade or instant firepower. He closes his eyes, trying to clear his mind. Sleep comes first, he decides. Outside his train window, the night is pitch black. On the platform that was empty hours ago, countless distorted, blurred shadows have gathered. They swarm in the dark, unnoticed, yet he falls into a deep sleep. For the first time, he is comfortable. The coarse cotton sheets feel surprisingly thick. The thin quilt smells like fresh plant fibers, wrapping him in warmth. This cozy feeling almost makes him forget he is stuck in a death game. When his body clock wakes him, he immediately pulls up the system panel. The screen reads 7 in the morning. Rubbing his eyes, he sits up slowly. Still wrapped in his quilt, he notices the carriage is perfectly warm. It is likely the novice protection at work, otherwise the cold would kill everyone. Half the player base would be frozen solid by now. He shuffles to the window. He peers out at the platform, and a sudden, freezing chill shoots straight down his spine. A chill hits the top of his skull, instantly clearing away his sleep. He gasps and recoils. He retreats half a step behind the curtain. Outside, the sky is pitch black as ink with the trains. Front lamp casting only a small, dim yellow halo, beyond that fading light and deep into. The darkness, the platform that stood empty last night, is now crowded with countless humanoid shadows. They wear tattered rags, some have twisted limbs while others are missing arms or legs. Unlike yesterday's aggressive zombies, these creatures wander like sleepwalkers in dead silence. A few wobble past so close he can see their grayish-white pupils and shriveled skin, yet they pay the train no mind at all. As if some invisible rule prevents them from sensing the living soul inside, he holds his breath, his heart hammering. If he had stepped off at this hour, he would have been buried under a tide of corpses with nothing left. He was lucky not to be greedy yesterday, and lucky he didn't stay out late scavenging or step off. In the dead of night, in this harsh world, the system rules are absolute red lines. Any search run must end strictly before 8 at night, regardless of the harvest. He also realizes that yesterday's daytime zombies were specifically chasing him alone, not the train, or they wouldn't have just dispersed. This is likely a novice protection mechanism, since players just arrived. Their strongest weapon is a shovel, and the game cannot unleash the monsters yet. He shudders, knowing the train's defenses and counterattack capabilities must be upgraded before that protection fades. Once he confirms the shadows ignore the train, he sits back on the bed, wrapping up tight in his quilt. There is no point fueling his fear when the carriage is secure. He opens his personal status screen. Name Gang Mang, Constitution 8, Spirit 9 of 10, healthy and slightly hungry. The draining exhaustion from yesterday has vanished, replaced with a refreshing energy. Crafting that comfortable bed first was definitely the right call. Having 9 points of spirit means 9 hint panel uses today, which steadies his nerves. He considers a new routine, burning off extra spirit down to 1 before sleeping so a full night's rest refills it. No sense in wasting resources. He opens the chat. The Korea and Blue Star channels are dead silent, showing only a cold announcement that new functions open at 8. The regional channel, which was a chaotic screaming pit yesterday, is now strangely quiet. The last message is a late night discussion about whether medicine can be bartered. Once the trading channel opens, everyone has learned their lesson. The survivor count reads 8,860. Out of 10,000, whoever survived to the second morning adapted to the cruelty. Everyone is waiting for the 8 o'clock trading system to break the deadlock. Since they all have useless surplus items, one man's trash could be a lifesaver to another. With less than an hour left, Gang Mang takes out 3 water bottles and a compressed biscuit. He refills his canteen with 2 bottles, then eats the biscuit bite by bite. He walks to the cabin front and shovels 10 coal into the fuel bunker, replenishing the 5 units he burned yesterday. The coal level's red. 14.34 out of 100. Waiting for dawn, he weighs his upgrade choices again. Should he upgrade the system to get a pea shooter or convert 2 more sunflowers? Patience is a virtue. With a cooler head this morning, his thinking is much clearer. If he upgrades the train now, he lacks sunlight, but if he converts sunflowers, he still needs soil and planting pots. Both progression paths are missing essential pieces, so he has nothing to decide just yet. Today, he heads straight for the next resource station. He might grab soil or peas. If it is monsters, he will adapt. Suddenly, 8 o'clock hits and the world flips like a switch. No gradual sunrise here. 1 second it is pitch black, and the next, piercing sunlight punches straight through the mist. Overhead, that terrifying, dense crowd on the platform vanishes like pencil drawings erased in a single stroke, leaving behind only empty concrete. He mutters that this daylight transition is pretty crude, but his heart goes cold. Sunrise ignoring physics unsettles him far more than last night's monsters, because it constantly reminds him this is not Blue Star, just a twisted game being manipulated at will. He squints until his eyes adjust, then bypasses the trading channel to head straight for the control panel. He presses start. The whistle blares across the wasteland. He confirms the withered garden station as his destination, and the train departs the station he called home for a full day. Wheels grind, white smoke billows, the lone carriage dragging behind. and he settles on the bed by the window, letting warm sunlight fall directly. On him, his sunflower generation ticks at one sun every 10 minutes. He finally opens the long-awaited trading channel during his downtime. The first thing waiting for him is the familiar restriction. Daily posts remain capped at a 5 of 5 limit. Just as he expected, that regional channel, once filled with warm, friendly chatter, is going to die out. Every future message will become purely utilitarian. Because the limit is never enough, the trading hub itself is surprisingly quiet, with the last post dating back to yesterday evening. A new tab sits on the left, his personal store Idaho, which is level 1 with 0 out of 100 experience. His current shelves have 5 slots, so this is his little shop. He grabs a pack of instant beef noodles from his stash. Eating them dry would be pretty miserable anyway, and drags them into the very first slot of his sales page. A red warning flashes. The second he tries setting a price, it warns that listing items requires fuel or survival coins as a transfer fee. He currently does not own a single survival coin, and the prompt asks if he wants to burn 1 unit of fuel instead. His hand freezes midair. Talk about a complete scam. In this brutal stage of survival, people must pay heavy fees just to list basic goods. This is not cheap either, since 1 coal equals 1 hour of engine power, and survival coins only started dropping today. That means out of the thousands of players in this region, absolutely nobody has them yet. No wonder the market is dead silent. He cancels the listing. He has coal, sure, but every single lump is needed to push his train. Burning precious fuel for a pack of instant ramen is totally crazy. Suddenly, in the chat, someone snaps, cursing the system because paying 1 precious coal just to list some shoes is straight up highway robbery. Another player tries listing a stone, confirming the fee is fixed. Someone mocks the stone seller, while another user asks if those survival coins only drop from monsters. Another survivor complains about running completely out of fuel because they cannot even sell wood without sacrificing coal. A player calls out the complainer for wasting fuel, claiming that reaching their very first station only cost them 3 coal. To reach, he reads all this bitter resentment with a very clear head. This market is dead, because sellers cannot afford the listing fees, and buyers have 0 coins to pay. Only after the first brave wave of explorers brings back survival coins will things actually move. He shuts the channel and lies back. Step 1 is saving sunlight, then grabbing survival coins. At the next station, he drags his bed under the window to catch the full sun. He pulls a thin quilt over his stomach and shuts his eyes, slipping into half meditation rather than sleep. Now he maps out his plan for the next station. He needs to scout the platform for resources and chests. The main goal is soil. Ideally, he needs enough for more sunflowers while avoiding monsters. Fighting them offers little reward, but if he cannot avoid a fight, he will use the riot fork to keep them at bay and strike their weak points. After all, he only has a vest and basic weapons. Safety comes first. The 3-hour journey crawls by. Outside, the endless gravel wilderness shows no life. Just an occasional dead tree twisting in the wind. He basks in the warmth. He flips channels and calculates his options. Fuel is getting incredibly scarce. Listing fees are brutal. This system forces players to explore. He needs that chest. That next treasure chest is non-negotiable. His navigation system pings. They are approaching the withered garden station. He springs up and heads toward the controls to hit the brakes. White steam erupts as the train slows down. He grabs his stab-proof vest from the headboard and zips it up tight. The metal zipper sounds incredibly sharp in the silence. Gripping his fork, he moves. Outside, the view has completely shifted. A broken platform sits at the track end, its edges choked with weeds. Behind it lies a small garden behind iron fences. Tangled vines and thick greenery fill the space. If the last stop was modern, this looks like an ancient manor that was entirely swallowed by nature. The platform is made of cracked blue stone slabs, moss creeping through every gap. Withered garden, it looks surprisingly lush, but there must be fertile soil here. His spirits rise. He peers through the dusty windshield. It is completely silent. There is no wind at all. Deep in the garden, he spots several figures. They are humanoid creatures dressed in tattered clothes, holding rusty gardening tools. They wander in slow, mindless loops, completely ignoring the roaring train. As the engine grinds to a final halt, one of the gardeners slowly turns. It faces him. The moment he sees its face, his pupils shrink in horror. His breath catches. Its features are buried under a dense growth of flowers. Purple and white petals poke through rotting skin in sickening, wet layers. Sticky yellow sap drips slowly from the stamens. The petals tremble faintly. As if they are sniffing the air for a living target, danger is everywhere. But so is opportunity. That rich, black soil holds a massive temptation. He simply has to go down there. The last echo of the whistle fades away. He glances at the console. It is 11 in the morning. Riot fork in one hand and shovel in the other, he leaps down from the train. He lands heavily on the mossy stone. A fresh yet rotting scent hits him instantly. It tickles his sinuses violently. He struggles to keep himself from making a sound. On pure instinct, he clamps a hand over his nose to stop a sneeze. That sneeze would have alerted every single monster on the platform. A quiet grunt escapes his throat. He holds his breath until tears stream down. He recovers slowly, staring at the garden in sheer terror. That was incredibly close. If he had sneezed, it would have been game over. His shoes whisper against stone. He treads carefully on the slippery moss between slabs. No rushing today. Safe instincts demand a complete search first, rather than acting on wild impulse. Blindly rushing in is a recipe for disaster. This withered garden station is notably smaller than the last one. Rusted iron railings line the platform edge in broken sections, showing dark yellow decay. He sweeps his eyes over every corner, settling on a faded side door sign. It reads police room. Pushing it open, a harsh creak echoes loudly. Mold and rust hit him. He freezes to listen, terrified of waking something. Absolute silence. He exhales. The room is empty except for a peeling wooden table, a broken chair, and a dusty treasure chest sitting in the corner. Keeping 2 meters back, he burns a spirit on the hint panel. It holds 20 coal and 10 survival coins. His eyes light up instantly. Having these coins means he won't have to trade away his precious coal. He strides over and flips the lid. Inside, 20 pitch-black pieces of coal sit in a neat stack. Beside silver-white coins, each one beautifully engraved with a little train head. He pockets the coins, stares at the coal, and realizes he needs a bag. 2 tiring trips later, all 20 pieces are stacked. Carriage, that little black pile brings him a massive wave of pure security. He steps out again, heading toward the waiting hall. As the door opens, a heavy stench of rotting plants rushes out, far worse than before. The inside is just like the last station, full of broken tables and chairs under thick dust. Checking for more chests, he heads out. He pushes open the back exit. Outside lies a small, gated garden. Dim sunlight filters through thick vines, dappling the rich black soil below. This dirt looks incredibly soft and fertile, unlike the dead wilderness soil. His heart beats with excitement until he freezes, his eyes widening in shock. 10 creepy figures wander the garden wearing tattered old gardener uniforms. Some carry rusty shears while others hold shovels, their heads slumped low. Thick clusters of purple and white pea flowers bloom right from their heads. Right in the middle, atop a dried fountain, a chest glows green. It is wrapped in emerald vines with swollen, heavy pea pods swaying. Gently, honestly, watching these things breathe is an absolute nightmare scenario. 10 monsters plus a creepy plant guard the chest. Fighting head-on is suicide. Even with his vest and weapon, he will get shredded. He checks the hint. Gardener zombie under parasitic pea demon vine control. Constitution 10, reflex speed 3. Spirit 0, weapon shears and weaknesses are fire and headshots. Take note. These zombies are completely parasitized, their faces fully buried inside blooming flowers. Surprisingly, the plant has also apparently absorbed the deadly zombie virus. Now for the plant itself, another spirit spent, leaving him with 6. Target is a pea demon vine. Constitution 5, reflex 5, spirit 5. Weapon is pea pods. First skill is exploding pods. Second is corpse control. It uses them to protect itself. Weakness is fire. Its direct attacks are weak, but with enough bodies, it can quickly build an army. He slips back into the hall's shadow, his back soaked in cold sweat. 10 high constitution zombies plus those ranged attacks make this way too dangerous to face. Getting swarmed by these weaklings means instant death. He cannot fight them all. A direct clash is suicide. He needs a barricade of furniture to lure them out one by one. That way, he can pick them off safely. He scans the messy hall for usable furniture. His expression hardens. Crouching low in the shadows, he tightly grabs a solid wooden table by its legs. He drags it toward the entrance. The wood scrapes the dusty floor. The dry wood scrapes with a deafening creak. He freezes instantly. His heart jumps. A massive, synchronized roar suddenly erupts nearby. 10 gardener zombies turn around in unison, lifting their bizarre flower-covered heads. It is as if their empty sockets are locked onto him. They are stiff, yet incredibly fast. Staggering forward, they rush the hall like a wave. Forget the barricade, he needs to run. Turning around, he sprints toward the train as his level 8 reflex stat kicks in. His sprint speed is insane, but the terrifying roars behind him are getting closer. Rusting scissors and shovels scrape against the concrete. Go faster, he tells himself, gritting his teeth. Just 3 meters from the train, he dives sideways and slides right through the open door. Grabbing the handle, he pulls hard and slams the heavy iron door shut. Bam! The first zombie crashes heavily into the metal barrier. The impact rattles the entire carriage, denting a section of the door plating inward. He collapses against the door, panting heavily as cold sweat drips onto the floor. Peering through the small window, he sees 10 gardener zombies surrounding the train. They frantically claw the doors and windows, fingernails scraping against the iron. Every instinct tells him to start the train and flee. But that rare garden soil is a prize he cannot walk away from, so he stays put. He gambles that they will lose interest, betting on his luck. The train made huge noises pulling in, yet they ignored it. 10 minutes pass. Their movements slow down as they lose their target, wandering aimlessly. They shuffle across the platform before heading back to the garden. They return to their slow circling. He collapses, his limbs completely limp. He underestimated their hearing and relied too much on dumb luck. His barricade plan died before it started. Anxious, he checks the carriage durability. It is down to 80 out of 100. 10 minutes of pounding cost 20. That damage is severe. Stronger monsters would shred this train into absolute scrap. If he loses this carriage, his only sanctuary is gone. Standing idle won't work. He leans against the cold wall, frowning deeply. What would you do in his shoes? Giving up that green chest in the soil feels impossible. He opens his system panel. His current sun is 70, 30 short of a level up. He gets 1 per 10 minutes. That means waiting over 5 hours. Worrying is useless, because even if he wanted to flee to a different station, he must wait until 8 at night to search. So he might as well save up sun. He leans his riot fork by the door, lies down on the small cot by the window, and waits for the sunlight. With his sunflower loaded, he gets 1 sun point every 10 minutes. Bored, he checks the trading channel. The overall despair has worsened since morning. One survivor is dying of thirst, begging others to buy their iron ingots. Another calls the transaction fees absolute robbery, accusing the system of greed. They feel like sheep lined up for shearing. Elsewhere, another player wants to buy spirit-restoring items because their powerful talent is simply too expensive to use. And their spirit is at rock bottom. He scrolls quietly, typing sunflower seeds, pea seeds and melon seeds into the search bar, all blank. These seeds are rare to begin with, and a handful would not even cover the listing fee. He curls his lip and closes the search, secretly glad he still has 2 raw melon seeds. He switches to the regional channel. Some are running out of fuel, some have been bitten, some weep that their talent is useless and they cannot protect themselves. The survivor count reads around 8,400, another few hundred gone. The second station is harder. He sighs, closes the panel, and rests his eyes, occasionally peeking at the sun ticker. 75, 89, 99. Every tick is 10 minutes. His mind runs scenarios for after the level up. If he unlocks the pea shooter, long-range fire handles the zombies cleanly. If he unlocks some support plant, he converts more sunflowers. First to snowball his sun production. After an unknown amount of time, the notification chimes. Sun value +1. Current sun is 100. He snaps his eyes open and checks the console. It is 4:20 in the afternoon. From 11 until now, 5 hours. In 20 minutes, he clenches his fists, unable to suppress the rush. This is enough. He rolls out of bed, pulls up the plant system panel, and stares at the upgrade button. Level 1. Sun required for upgrade is 100. Current sun is 100. Unlocked plant sunflower. Loaded plant sunflower. What will the upgrade unlock? His heart races. He has played Plants vs. Zombies for years, and in the original game, the first combat plant after the sunflower is always the pea shooter with long-range attacks. If he really unlocks it, he can pick off the gardener zombies one by one from a safe distance, maybe blasting the pea demon vine to pieces. But what if this modded system breaks the rules and unlocks some other support plant? Then the 100 sun is wasted. A war breaks out in his head. His cautious side tells him to quit while ahead with no gambling. Just keep building, son, but his desire for long-range power screams that fortune favors the bold. Missing that first green chest could mean missing out on transcendent power. He thinks about the security guard zombie, the rabies, carrying wild dog, and those gardener zombies that almost shredded him in a cruel survival world. Caution is good, but blind caution misses opportunities. It is time. He slams his fist down and decides to gamble. Taking a deep breath, he upgrades. The prompt asks whether to consume 100 sun to upgrade the plants. Versus zombie system to level 2, he confirms. The sun on the panel drops to 0. A warm current floods from his mind through his whole body. The green light on the panel grows so bright it almost pierces his retinas. The system congratulates the host on a successful upgrade to level 2, Spirit Maximum Plus. One new plant unlocked, pea shooter, current sun 0. The corners of his mouse lift on their own. He won the gamble. He really did unlock the pea shooter. Even with no sun to convert seeds, he can still load the plant. He opens the pea shooter panel. Seed conversion costs 100 sun for 1 raw pea. Health 10. Planting condition is 500 grams of ordinary soil. Planting consumption is 500 milliliters of water and 1 pea shooter seed. Growth time 1 hour. Attack power 5. Attack interval 1 second. Attack method is automatic against hostile targets. Range or any target he designates. Range 100 meters. Magazine 20 rounds. Magazine refill cost 1 sun per round. Loading spirit consumption 2. He is ready to. He switches the loaded plant to the pea shooter, but then the refill cost catches his eye. He scratches his head. Definitely not infinite ammo like the game. Another hour of sunbathing should bank enough sun. He walks to the window and looks out at the gardener zombies wandering the area. A glint of vengeance fills his eyes. Just wait, because their good days are officially over. A notification chimes in his head showing that his sun value has ticked up by 1 and now sits at 6. He opens his eyes and glances at the console. The time is 2:05 in the afternoon, and after full hour of basking, 6 points is enough to reload his magazine 6 times. Over, he rubs his hands together and pulls up the system panel with a single thought. It is enough to do real damage now. The panel asks if he wants to remove his loaded sunflower and load the pea shooter instead, warning him that the swap will occupy 2 points of his spirit limit. He confirms without hesitating. 2 prompts flash by, and his mind feels lighter than before in the very same heartbeat. It is a strange give and take. He is still learning to read his personal spirit. Panel updates showing he has 4 out of 9 out of 11 now. 2 points are sunk into the new loadout. The pea shooter activates with another thought, and a pale green crosshair blooms in the periphery of his right eye. It is a phantom sight overlaid on the carriage. He touches his right arm, feeling the surge of energy crawling through his muscles. The system reports that the pea shooter is loaded with 20 shots, a range of 100 meters, and power 5. The hunt begins. He grabs the riot fork, eases the carriage door open, and slips out into the quiet entrance of the small garden. 10 gardener zombies are still wandering in slow loops, dragging their iron shovels and shears across the pavement. He crouches behind the corner of the waiting hall wall, lining his crosshair on the zombie closest to him, locking onto the pea flower at the back of its skull. The monster is facing away from him, dragging its shovel with a dull, grating sound. Completely oblivious, he holds his breath and squeezes. A faint hiss cuts through the air, and a bright green pea drills straight into the gap at the center of the flower. The zombie freezes for half a second before its head bursts like a smashed watermelon, purple and white petals splattering with black red fluid. The body sways once and dissolves into a fountain of black light. Nice, he whispers quietly, then the rest of them snap around in unison, petals trembling as they lock onto his position, charging with hoarse roars. This is where it gets crazy. He has to run, sprints back to the train, skipping the carriage to head straight for the locomotive. The carriage durability is only 80 out of 100, but the locomotive has a far more generous 300. He scrambles up, locks the door behind him, and shoves open the window beside the driver's seat. "Come on, you grandkids," he mutters, his voice carrying a hoarse edge of excitement. He does not quite recognize. He leans half out the window, his crosshair flicking from charging zombie to charging zombie, peas drilling into skulls one after another. In clean 3-round bursts, they cannot even reach the edge of the locomotive. Before they go down, the magazine empties, so he tells the system to reload. His sun value drops by 1, and the magazine refills to 20. After another wild burst, The last 9 gardener zombies are scattered across the platform as iron. Shovels and shears. Finally, he checks his reserves, only 5 points of sun value left. He reloads, that leaves exactly 4 points for whatever comes next. Now the demon vine takes its turn. It wraps tightly around a green chest in the fountain. Pea pods swaying at the top of its vines, already sensing his presence. His earlier system scan warned him that this creature can fire its pea pods in a single direction. Its attack power is weak, but the range is massive. Worse, they might be poisoned. Better safe than sorry. He leaps off the train and sprints toward the police station. The wooden door is still intact. He wedges the riot fork into the frame and pries hard. The heavy door comes crashing down in a cloud of dust, sliding like a massive riot shield. Dragging it to the garden entrance, he props the thick panel upright, exposing only his right eye and crosshairs. The vine's main stem is the thickest part of the target, the easiest spot to aim at, so he fires. Bright green peas hammer the vine, one after another. The pods at the top begin swelling, shifting from a healthy green to a dark, toxic purple. A warning aura blooms. It is going to explode. He ducks behind his shield just as the air erupts into a rapid pattering of pebble-sized pea bullets. They pelt the heavy wooden door with a series of dull thuds, rattling off the concrete all around him. The shield shakes, but he leans his weight into it, silently thanking his lucky stars he thought ahead. Without this cover, he would be completely shredded. Talk about a close call. The barrage stops. He pokes his head out, fires a quick burst, and ducks back. The vine retaliates instantly. They repeat this deadly dance over and over. His sun points drain away, one by one with every reload, until on the 31st pea, a shot pierces the core. The arrogant tangle finally stops, thrashing, its vibrant green fading as the whole mass collapses into rotten weeds. He exhales, slumping exhausted behind the shield as the system prompt flashes before him. Victory. He walks over to the fountain and flips open the green chest. Inside are 3 rewards. The system alerts him that he has obtained primary combat mastery, a primary spirit recovery potion, and 100 survival coins. His eyes light up at the skill book. His physical stats are solid. But he has never thrown a real punch in his entire life, and that recovery potion is the perfect lifesaver for tight spots. As for the 100 coins, that is a massive fortune early on, perfect for buying plant seeds. Later, combat mastery combined with fingertip pea shooting is basically gunful. He tucks the potion away and sweeps the garden one last time. Once he is absolutely certain no hidden threats remain, he kneels down, pinching a handful of the soft, dark soil beneath his boots. It is incredibly fertile, perfect. Finally, a place where he can plant his sunflower. Time to swap abilities. He pulls up the menu, unequips the pea shooter, and reloads the sunflower. Instantly, his sun value increases by 1 point. His spirit panel updates to 3 out of 10 out of 11. The limit climbs because the pea shooter loadout has been returned to its slot. He nods, packs his spoils, and heads back to the train. But 2 steps later, something glints. He looks down. Hidden among the withered vines are a dozen bright green spheres, smelling faintly of sweet, freshly cut grass. Plant. His breath catches. Crouching down, he picks it up with a trembling hand, and the shape and color hit him like a slap. It is a pea seed, and the system confirms it. Very moment, asking if he wants to spend 100 sun value to convert this seed into a pea shooter seed. 100 points. His mouth twitches as he checks his sunlight panel. Current sunlight is just 3, a massive gap to fill. He tucks the seed into an inner pocket and digs through those withered vines until he has rooted out 15 seeds in total, an absolute jackpot. Himself clutching that pocket tightly like a man who just won the lottery. Once he saves up enough sunlight, he will mass-produce pea shooters and let any sneaky garden monster on this map try him. He shoulders the door panel, walking briskly back to the train, leaning the heavy panel against the corner of the waiting hall. On his way, the thing might come in handy again. He climbs the steps, locking the carriage, letting out a long sigh as the soreness he held off all afternoon comes flooding in. Total exhaustion. He collapses onto the bed, sipping warm water to parched throat. Only then does he remember he has not checked the trading channel today. It is the perfect time to look. The channel seems far more active than earlier. The flow of survival coins gives this wild market a strange, crooked vitality. Every single listing is filled with complaints about the listing fee. 1 coin just to post has players who have not opened a treasure chest, griping that they cannot Afford to sell, he slowly scrolls through the current offers and demands. Compressed biscuits at 3 coins, purified water in 596 milliliter bottles. Are 2 coins each, iron ingots are cheap, while a wooden spear costs 3 coins, spirit restoring potion wanted at 25, nothing special until 1. Hold on, this is huge, a wooden wheelbarrow for 10 survival coins. Handcrafted 50 kilograms capacity, lightweight, durable, his eyes light up, he thinks of that fertile black soil and how his arms ached from digging. By hand, doing the math, a wheelbarrow would easily boost his hauling. Efficiency tenfold, the price stings though, 10 coins is his entire fortune scraped together from that gray treasure chest. After this purchase, he will have nothing left but that 100 coin note in his pocket. It is too expensive, his instincts whisper, but in this early survival stage, time is everything. Stamina is capital, and a wheelbarrow means far more soil runs. Before dark, that means planting a sunflower sooner, which starts his sun. Snowball starts early, high risk, high reward, gritting his teeth. He taps by, 10 coins drain from his pocket, and a wooden wheelbarrow appears in the carriage corner. The frame is polished smooth with a solid wheel. It is the real deal. One quick test push proves it is incredibly light. And any regret melts. It is purely handcrafted, either some survivor has a manufacturing talent or a carpenter got tools early, but the production class is clearly making waves. The console clock reads 5:05, 2 hours until total darkness. No time to eat. He gulps water, buttons his vest, pushes the cart down, and grabs his shovel. The afterglow of the setting sun pools over the rich black soil. With his background in agriculture, he happens to be exceptionally good at digging, driving the shovel in at an angle. He pries up massive chunks effortlessly, trip after grueling trip. Cart after cart of soil is dumped against the carriage wall and hauled inside. Sweat plasters his shirt to his back. His arms shake, his waist and abdomen throb, but he keeps going. Only one thought remains in his mind: haul more, then haul more. The sky slides from gold to orange red and then deep purple. The pile inside the carriage stops being a simple mound and turns into a small hill that rises to his waist. He pushes in the last load and glances at the console. 10 minutes to 2000 when the fog will arrive. No more digging. He drops the shovel, collapsing onto the floor, and pants, his chest heaving. His throat is so dry it feels like it is smoking. Bones genuinely arguing about their continued employment. After a full 5 minutes, he finally comes back to himself, sips some water, tears into a compressed biscuit, and chews slowly. The dryness is not great, but right now it tastes incredibly sweet. Halfway through the biscuit, the sky outside the carriage shifts instantly. No transition. 1 second of sunset, the next a pitch-black wall where he cannot see his own fingers, only the faint moonlight filtering through the glass. The system informs him that the fog has descended from 2000 to 8 in the morning. Do not leave the carriage. The cold notification settles into the silence. He leans against the pile of soil, biscuit in hand, and opens the chat channel. The regional channels head count has dropped again. The survivor count is 8,390 of 10,000. Within a few hours, over another 100 people are gone, yet the channel is twice as active as it was at noon. Someone is screaming they almost got caught by a monster in the fog. Another is asking how to get more chat attempts, and a voice replies that they must buy them with survival coins. One message costs 1 coin, the system practically robbing them. The chorus of curses is fluent and creative. He scrolls, typing the word seed into the search box. Nothing, still no plant seeds on the market in the short term. He closes the panel and begins taking stock of the day. 20 units of coal from the gray treasure chest plus what he had leaves him well stocked on fuel. 100 survival coins even. After buying the wheelbarrow, since he opened another 100 from the green chest. Combat mastery, the spirit potion, and the soil. He eyes the pile, easily 2 cubic meters, which at roughly 1.5 tons per cubic meter is around 3 tons of soil, enough to plant hundreds of sunflowers. He thinks, his mouth curling up. For a long while now, he will not have to worry about soil. The priority is to plant the sunflowers and get that sun value snowball rolling in the fast lane. He remembers the train search station function should be off cooldown. By now, walking to the cab, the gray button has indeed turned green. He presses it. The boiler rumbles, the train body vibrates, and the carriage lighting clicks on automatically. The lights again, he thinks. Then he remembers the same thing happened last time. Search station mode turns the train into a lantern. He Checks the windows. Zombies are still milling all over the platform, but even with the carriage lit up like a stage, they somehow do not notice. Talk about luck, some kind of search mode invisibility built into the system, evidently. Back to the soil, he digs out the 5 flower pots he salvaged from the wilderness station. Dumping the dead soil, he fills them with fresh black earth from the pile. The fertility comes off the soil as a faint raw scent, exactly what a real seed wants. He presses the magically modified sunflower seed into the soil and waters. He pours 500 milliliters of purified water. His agriculture background warns him to give it less, since seeds do not need much moisture to germinate, and root rot is a real danger, yet the system does not react. He adds more water, but still nothing. Only when the entire 500 milliliters is gone does the green chime ring out. The sunflower has been planted. Growth time is 1 hour. System rules, he sighs. You simply cannot play by common sense here. He stares down at the wet soil. In his mind, he can already see a lush green stem swaying toward the sun. He plans his future layout out loud to the empty, silent train. Tomorrow, he will convert the remaining pumpkin seeds while moving. That means 3 sunflowers and 3 points of sunlight every 10 minutes. As the sun climbs, he will plant more. The snowball is rolling. Honestly, who wouldn't be excited? He already sees a carriage full of sunflowers. A carriage full of sunflowers and powerful plants are finally within reach. Those pixelated defenses from the games will become his real source of confidence. In this brutal survival world, he needs every bit of help he can get. Outside, the heavy fog churns as dark monsters roar. Inside, he feels no fear. Then his smile collapses. He has not taken a shower in 2 days. After 2 hours of backbreaking labor hauling heavy soil, his body odor is intense. It is practically a separate organism, if only a clean shower was on the menu. Deep night settles. He leans back against his makeshift bed. He stares at the dark flower pot where the sunflower seed is buried. Sipping some water, his gaze drifts over to the thin green treasure chest book. Basic Combat Mastery is on the cover. The pages feel like warm jade. They are neither paper nor wood, faintly glowing. He tries to flip the pages. They will not budge. On a wild hunch, he presses the book to his forehead. The instant it touches his skin, the book dissolves into a soft light. It pours directly into his mind. A massive torrent of refined information floods him. He instantly learns how to drive full physical power straight from his core. He learns how to turn sideways to deflect strikes, blocking with ease. Simple, efficient, and lethal, he learns to strike vital joints. This is no simple theory. It lands like an instinct he was born with. A decade of training, mastered overnight. Every single muscle and nerve remembers. His exhaustion suddenly vanishes. He throws sharp, straight punches. The wind from his fists carries a concentrated power he never owned before. Energy flows up from his feet. It twists into one solid rope of raw energy that explodes outward. This is worlds away from the sloppy, brute swinging he did yesterday. This feels amazing, he mutters while testing out a few fluid, swift kicks. If he combines this with his pea shooting ability, a plan clicks. Dodge and blast them up close. His concept completely clicks. His close quarters combat ceiling just jumped to a whole new level. A system chime interrupts his thoughts. The magic sunflower is ready. That was incredibly fast, he thinks, hurrying over to the moist black soil. A spirited half-meter-tall sunflower has broken through the soil. 2 wide leaves spread out, its sleeping face looking peaceful. And a small, upturned, satisfied smile, bringing a thick, living warmth to the cold. Dead air of the carriage, he checks the sunlight panel. 15, unchanged, right it. Is night, the sunflower is sleeping and cannot produce sun yet, a small twinge of regret is quickly swallowed by fiercer anticipation. This is the first snowflake of the avalanche. The sunlight snowball is fully provisioned. All it needs is dawn. A soft beep chimes from the navigation system. The next station. Information has updated, and it reads Plains Town Station with the suffix event. In parentheses, an event station, he thinks, stunned. This is his first time seeing a special suffix on a station name, a mission, or a new way to gouge him, and given the greedy instincts of the system, the latter feels far more likely. He opens the chat channel to see whether he is the only one who got it. The regional channel has absolutely detonated. Messages are refreshing over 10 times faster than during the day. Everyone is yelling about Plains Town Station with the same event tag, asking whether the whole region is finally being funneled to one place. People are talking about seeing living humans again and trying to form team-ups, with healers offering to treat injuries and poisoning, and weak players begging for strong players to carry them. Half the channel thinks it is a group boss raid with huge rewards, but reading all this, he feels more wary than excited. Bringing every survivor in the region together at one station. What does the survival game actually want? Is this a screening, a test, or an arena? To watch them slaughter each other, because let's be real, crowds always bring trouble. That is a universal truth in any world. Right then, a crimson system. Announcement steamrolls across all screens, a cold, blood-red font. Screams authority, silencing the channel in a heartbeat. The system announces it is upgrading the chat system tomorrow at 8 in the morning. All messages will display the user ID number by default. Players can spend 1 survival coin per message to selectively show their personal name when they speak. Players can also spend 10 survival coins for a one-time chance to modify their nickname, though anyone can still view the original ID of the speaker simply by clicking on the nickname. Once the Plains Town Station event ends, grouping and station multiplayer mode will be officially unlocked, with rules to follow. After a brief silence, the channel explodes again, this time in pure speechlessness. Someone comments they are not surprised that showing names costs money. Another posts that this greedy, familiar scent proves it really is the system. 10 coins just to change a name. Someone complains, you could buy 2 compressed biscuits. The next user counters, warning of a potential name curse. Down the line, someone else groans that this money will have to be spent. Eventually, he doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. The survival game really wants to squeeze coins out of every pocket, perfectly targeting the small quirks of human nature. But wait, there is a much bigger catch to this upgrade than just fees. Forcing ID displays completely ends the era of total anonymity. Every line said, every transaction closed will be on the books. They are building a tracking system before multiplayer mode officially goes live. While he still has his anonymity, he throws a question into the channel asking if anyone knows the actual details of this event, since the game system has not given a single hint. A wave of identical questions floods in with 0 answers. Everyone is completely in the dark, forced to take things one step at a time. He browses a while longer, finds nothing else useful, and closes the panel. It is late. He tidies up, lying back on the simple but comfortable bed, letting the day's heavy tension slowly melt away in a long ache. Before sleep, he catches a sudden whiff of himself. Sweat, dirt, and the faintest hint of blood make him sigh and frown. He hopes Plainstown has somewhere to shower. With that humble wish, he is out. It is still pitch black outside the window when he wakes. His internal clock has him up at 7 on the dot. Time to get moving and water the corn. He mumbles, half asleep, then snaps awake and laughs at himself. It has only been a few days, yet the old life feels like it was someone else. Outside the carriage, the night is solid, and the distant mist coughs up occasional roars. In the global channel, a few night owls are chatting absolute nonsense. He ignores them, rolls out of bed, and clears the quilts to one side. Then he walks to the corner, and like a man carrying a holy relic, lifts the sunflower pot onto the bed, setting it against the cold window glass. Hey partner, today we soak up the sun together, he whispers, his voice softer than he expected. Once they have more sunlight, he promises to line up a few more buddies for it. It will look grand. The sunflower keeps its cute eyes closed like a sleepy child. Sunflowers sleep at night, the game taught him, so he sits cross-legged on the other side of the bed, waiting for dawn. Exactly 8 in the morning on the dot. The daylight switch arrives on schedule, from dark to blinding sunlight in a single light, slicing through the mist and flooding every corner of the train. 2 notifications chime in succession. Sun value is up by 1. Then again, he checks the cheap panel. 17 points. Only 3 more and he can plan another, his mood lifting right through the roof. He stretches, his spine popping in a row, then walks to the cab, presses start, and confirms the destination as Plainstown Station. Time to move. A long, loud whistle rolls across the wilderness as the boiler roars. The chassis vibrates. 1 man and a single flower, carrying infinite hope, ride steadily toward the unknown station, where thousands of other survivors will gather. Trust me, the real danger is about to start. The train departs at 8. And starting its deceleration into the station at 11 sharp, he spends those 3 hours like a hardworking farmer, pouring his heart and soul into his 1/3 of an acre. By the time the train stops, 3 sunflower pots are neatly lined up in the corner, each one of them spreading vibrant green leaves full of life. His sun value sits at 24, climbing by 4 points every 10 minutes. The cost is 5 bottles of water and 1 pack of compressed biscuits. 2 bottles were for watering the new sunflowers, with breakfast costing him another bottle and a single biscuit, and the remaining 2 went into his portable canteen because a flask is sturdier than plastic and can even double as a small meteor hammer. All in all, a highly profitable trade. During farming breaks, he watches the regional chat channel. The closer they get, the crazier the chat room becomes. 1. User 9996 is recruiting for Plainstone teams. Advertising a charged talent, searching for reliable, high-strength teammates to make a fortune together. A user named Red Rose announces that the Rose Guild is recruiting women only with no talent restrictions, issuing a battle cry. Others talk about huddling together for warmth so the stinking men cannot bully them. Meanwhile, another guy named Lee Yunbai celebrates finally seeing living people, asking who wants to share a drink later, still holding onto half a bottle of soju. He can feel a long-suppressed energy, absolutely ready to detonate at Plainstone. It is pure anticipation, mixed with a sudden, tense spike of deep vigilance. Where there are crowds, trouble always follows. The system suddenly chimes in, announcing they are approaching Plainstone Station, warning him to be prepared. He stands, checking his gear one final time, and peers out the window as the station finally rises on the horizon, looking too grand to ever be a human creation. The sight completely stuns him. The structure is a massive, towering behemoth of steel and brass, capturing that beautifully rugged, highly precise steampunk aesthetic. Giant pipes coil across the station's surface like massive metallic pythons, intermittently sighing outbursts of hot, white steam with a low hiss. The whole place feels like a colossal machine in motion, dwarfing him entirely. Slowly, the train glides to a steady stop at a high, elevated platform. On this level alone, he counts 5 train tracks running side by side. Even more platforms are stacked above and below, like a massive steel honeycomb. What a grand scale, he mutters, pushing open the heavy metal door. The outside air smells heavily of coal, oil, and worn metal as he climbs. He passes through a dark corridor lined with pressure gauges and complex pipes. Then the view opens up. Instantly, a massive wall of noise hits him. The roar drowns out all his thoughts as he stands at the exit. Staring in disbelief, the main waiting hall is just absurdly, ridiculously vast. The ceiling is impossibly high, with brass chandeliers hanging overhead. Bright light floods the area, but the sheer crowd is what truly shocks him. He sees a sea of heads, thousands of people packed tightly shoulder to shoulder. Every single person is wearing identical black sportswear, looking like some massive cult. Visual uniformity is deeply unsettling, especially with every single person looking identical. They all share black hair, dark eyes, and speak his native Korean. For a split second, he gets the bizarre illusion that this is not a deadly survival game, but just a busy holiday train station back home. The brief, warm feeling of human presence starts to loosen his tight nerves. But within 3 seconds, he snaps out of it, his eyes instantly sharpening. This is not his peaceful home planet. There are no laws or police. These people are his fellow countrymen, but any of them could easily turn into beasts for a single slice of bread. His warmth vanishes instantly. Cold vigilance takes over as he quietly melts directly into the packed crowd. Acting as a pure observer, he begins scanning the chaotic Shura field. The hall resembles a living painting of the apocalypse. He walks forward, spotting a burly, bald man standing on a suitcase, wildly waving his arms. The loud man, spitting as he shouts, introduces himself as Joe Chil-woo. He boasts about having basic strength talent and claims he fears absolutely nothing, offering to lead everyone as their boss while promising them massive rewards. A handful of naive, confused young men actually begin to cheer him on, while the rest of the crowd simply watches with their arms crossed. Others watch him with arms crossed, wearing the cold sneers reserved for fools. He takes him in with one glance and looks away. Show-offs are either truly capable or the kind of idiot that dies first, and the latter looks far more likely here. He drifts further away and gets pulled toward another commotion, in a slightly more open space. A handsome young man with a rebellious vibe is the center of a dense crowd. 10 deep, he extends his right palm, and with a soft poof, an orange-red flame ignites from nothing, drawing amazed gasps from everyone around him. He smiles and explains he has the fireball technique, basic level, but its power and rain Completely outclass physical enhancement talents, he is forming a new squad called Blaze. Only the strong, healing, defense, and scouting talents get priority. Useless trash should not waste his time. A man thin as a monkey pushes his way to the front, shouting that his talent is an acute sense of smell, that he can smell monsters. Top-tier scouting support. Another shouts that his own talent is rapid bandaging, which stops bleeding but cannot actually heal wounds. The young man, drunk on the flattery, starts interviewing applicants from a high horse. The chosen are ecstatic, the rejected jealous. He shakes his head. These people have turned a brutal survival game into a corporate job interview. Not everything here is cold calculation, though. A man hardly slaps another's shoulder. Both are grown men, known to each other only as Old Wang and Little Lei in this spill of joy. Each was sure the other perished that first night. Now they hug tight enough to turn their eyes red. Something stirs in him at this warm reunion, the complex side of human nature on display. A completely opposite encounter pulls him back to cold reality immediately. A voice dripping with absolute hatred calls a man dog. He looks over to see two men glaring, one of them tightly clutching a sharpened wooden stick. The stick holder warns the well-dressed man to keep his mouth clean, shouting that when he worked under him before, he was never this impolite. The well-dressed one, livid, says nothing. The stick holder spits that they are not on Blue Star anymore, only putting up with him because of a mortgage, openly threatening to kill him if he keeps talking. The other man's gaze turns terrifyingly sinister. The air between them freezes. The crowd backs off and clears a ring with the relish of eager spectators. He circles around without staying. In 10 minutes, he has seen every shape of human nature: ambitious wannabe leaders, opportunists showing off, and ordinary people scrambling to live, the lucky reuniting after disaster, and more. Enemies. Plains Town is a condensed social experiment. He walks through the chaos to the center of the hall, where 3 unique non-player characters are performing their respective duties. Mayor Edwin has finished his speech and is now holding a teacup, watching this rabble with the composed air of a man scrutinizing a batch of consumables headed for the front. Quartermaster Lilith yawns lazily while dealing with those asking for prices, barely lifting an eyelid for the time wasters. His target is clear, and he walks straight to defense. Captain Victor, the massive sign beside him, reads registration office, with smaller text saying 5 people jointly defend a section of wall, randomly matched. If there are not enough defending the wall, he expects mostly cold weapon melee combat at this stage. The casualty rate will not be low, but if survival games have taught him anything, it is that danger rarely moves this fast. Things usually do not get this brutal so quickly. Too many survivors have lasted too long. Stepping up to register, he tells Victor his name. Team or individual, Victor asks. The captain scribbles. Individual, he replies. Are you sure? Victor asks, looking up. Random matching means your teammates are pure luck, he nods with zero hesitation. Victor shrugs, handing over a stamped metal tag. Marked 106, it is his wall pass. Lose it and there is no replacement. After witnessing the chaos in the hall, he is completely sure of his choice. Making your own squad is risky. People hide their true motives behind fake smiles. You never know if you are recruiting an ally or a literal monster. Join another team, and you either work like a dog or get used as a pawn. He would rather trust random luck than hand his life to a stranger, wouldn't you? Clutching the cold tag, he slips away into a quiet corner of the room. Leaning against a massive brass pillar, he keeps a sharp eye on everyone nearby. He listens in, blending into the shadows. From his hidden vantage point, he watches the survivors put on their little shows. One guy claims his buddy has a prophecy talent and knows the best exchange items. Apparently, exoskeleton armor designs are the ultimate prize. Others ask if he is for real, totally hooked on the rumor. Of course, the guy replies, monsters will inevitably swarm the train soon. This is going to be a defensive siege, so protection is their absolute priority. Across the room, another group argues about weapons. Some argue for bolt-action rifles, while others prefer rapid-fire submachine guns. Spraying down a monster horde is the only way to survive, they say. He remembers every detail, filtering the rumors, but his calm demeanor stands out. His quiet vibe soon draws attention in this frantic, chaotic room. A slim, shrewd-looking man approaches him with a friendly, practiced smile. He calls our protagonist an expert and invites him to join his short-handed squad. He promises absolute safety, bragging about their captain's powerful defensive talent. Without even opening his eyes, our protagonist calmly says he already registered. The recruiter takes the hint and walks away. Over the next hour, more groups approach. Some are polite, others are incredibly arrogant. He turns them all down. He uses the exact same excuse. He knows how fragile these teams really are. Most are held together by sheer suspicion. The moment real danger strikes, they will scatter like animals. Backstabbing is guaranteed. An hour later, the massive passageways leading to the platforms begin to shut. Heavy gates slam shut with a mechanical screech. The waiting hall is completely sealed off, turning into a massive steel cage. Guard Captain Victor, who was resting his eyes, suddenly stands up. He grabs a tin megaphone and roars. Registration is officially closed, and anyone left out is completely on their own. The local guards will lead all the new recruits straight to the outer walls. Victor warns that anyone playing games will have their head twisted off first. His brutal authority instantly silences the room as he tosses the megaphone aside. Victor then exits through a side door with Mayor Edwin and Quartermaster Lilith. Guards in uniform, leather armor, and steam rifles march right in. Completely expressionless, they take charge. The captain unrolls a massive parchment. He bellows out numbers. Number 1, 5 people, step out and follow me. Number 2, move it. What are you dawdling for? Those whose numbers are called scramble through the massive crowd toward their assigned tunnels. Complaints rise. Everywhere, people grumble about the long wait and the guards' trash attitudes. Until someone hisses to shut up because they have guns. Gang tunes it all out. He waits. Eventually, they call number 106. He stands up to walk. He goes first with 4 others following. First is a slightly chubby, arrogant woman who looks at everyone like trash. When Gang glances back, she shoots him a vicious, unprovoked glare. Her hostility is so incredibly thick and pure. It almost feels like a label. He frowns with foreboding. The second is a slim, pale girl with short hair. Her bangs hang low, hiding her face as she tightly clutches a baseball bat, hugging the wall. Her body language radiates a clear warning. Do not look or talk to her. The third is a bright, cheerful college student wearing glasses, looking incredibly positive, flashing a friendly smile to somehow cut through this bizarre, suffocating tension. Then comes the last recruit. She immediately turns every head in the area. A woman with an unreal figure, tight black sportswear hugs her curves. Long, wavy wine-red hair drapes over her shoulders. Her face is carved from pure, eternal ice, her gaze sharp as a razor. 5 total strangers. Thrown together by fate, the guard leads them down a corridor to the wall. You 5 hold this section right here, the guard barks, pointing down. A 100-meter stretch of 5 independent machine gun platforms. Choose your spots. This insane event is about to begin right now. Gang doesn't hesitate for a single second and claims the leftmost gun. Soyeon sneers, seemingly eager to spite him, and takes the platform right next to him. Back against the ladder, she glares. The anxious girl takes the middle gun. The cheerful student grabs the 4th spot and introduces himself to everyone as Jang Suman. The icy beauty claims the far right-facing Gang. Since they will be fighting together, Suman tries to break the ice. He suggests introductions, starting with himself. He is sophomore Jang Suman. The extremely anxious girl quietly whispers that her name is Lei Zhongjang. Her voice barely carries. When it is the chubby woman's turn, she grunts and rolls her eyes. She says her name is Soyeon, then starts complaining. The wall is too high and windy. There is nowhere to sit. The weapon looks clunky. The recoil will make her hands go totally numb. Suman's friendly smile freezes. Gang has zero interest in wasting any breath. He coldly tells the entire group they can just call him Gang. Finally, they all turn to the icy beauty on the right. She glances back with cold indifference, uttering a single name, Sial. With battle imminent, their makeshift team's vibe plummets to freezing. Soyeon grumbles about one being mute and the other acting mysterious. Shut up, the guard barks, cutting her off instantly. If you hate rules. Get lost, she flinches, mutters about him being mean, and glares at Suman. She shoots Suman a vicious glare, blaming him for her getting scolded. The guard clears his throat, explaining the rules coldly and calling the rookies to attention. He says it only once. This 5-man squad is completely responsible for the 100-meter stretch right beneath their feet, each getting their own Guardian-type heavy machine gun. He gestures lazily toward the weapon next to Yoongjang, who flinches like a startled rabbit, clicking his tongue in annoyance. The guard moves on, explaining the gun's fire. Energy rounds powered directly by Plains Town, making their ammunition entirely infinite. But each gun has an overheat bar, the red slot on its metal body, continuous. Firing fills it, triggering a 10-second forced cooldown, so smart shooters tap. Fire to keep the bar low. Initial bullets deal 5 damage each, and the rate of fire is 4 rounds per second. Plenty, crucially, he points to a small hidden slot on the side, identifying it as the evolution slot, killing monsters charges it. Once full, the weapon glows blue and 3 upgrade options pop up. They must select one, making the build combinations entirely up to them. They earn points for kills, with 40% split evenly across the whole squad and 60% distributed by damage dealt. Once the defense ends, they trade points for rewards. There is one crucial rule they must remember, he warns. Wall durability is shared among all 5 rookies, that glowing bar on the screen. It represents the absolute survival of their sector. If monsters attack the wall, it drops. If the bar falls to 50%, the town guard takes over by force. When that happens, all 5 of them fail the operation on the spot. They get kicked straight off the battlefield immediately. Talk about high-stakes pressure. Without waiting for an answer, the guard gives them one final glare and leaves. He's barely gone when Soyeon points her spear at Suman again, snarling that it is his fault the guard scolded them for introducing themselves. Suman tries to push back, but she only gets louder, her voice rising sharply. Her petty words quickly turn into outright, deeply personal insults. As a hot-blooded student, Suman tolerates the screaming for only a minute. His face turns red, then white. He finally explodes, demanding to know if she is done. Suddenly, a piercing alarm tears through the entirety of Plains Town. The battle has begun. His angry posture instantly freezes. He finally realizes that at some point, Lai Yungjang, Saul, and their quiet companion climbed onto their platforms, testing the heavy weapons to get a proper feel. Along the entire defensive line, only Suman and Soyeon are left arguing over absolutely nothing. Looking past the defensive wall, Suman freezes as his eyes widen in horror. A massive, writhing black tide is slowly crawling directly toward them. But it is not water. No, those are countless zombies. The alarm jolts their nerves like hot iron, cutting their stupid argument short. An instant, the quiet protagonist does not even turn to look at them. He cannot afford to waste a single ounce of emotion on nonsense. While the guard explained the system and Soyeon complained, the young man used those precious minutes to set his hands on the freezing control levers of the massive Guardian-type heavy machine gun, studying every single part of it, every joint, every spring. Now that the alarm sounds, he is the first to react, aiming the holographic sight directly toward the oncoming horde. The horde approaches, his breath levels long and slow, his mind is slipping into absolute calm. Ever since his spirit broke through the 10-point mark, a strange sensation has followed. He calls it spirit locking. When he focuses his spirit and aims through the sight, his consciousness detaches from his body, turning into an invisible, reaching tentacle that extends outward, wrapping around the target like a tagged net. It feels exactly like a shooting game with a top-tier aimbot, back at the garden station. This let him drop gardener zombies with pea-shooter peas, combined with the killing machine in front of him right now. The power explodes exponentially the moment the vanguard of the zombie tide enters his effective range. He pulls the trigger. No panic, no novice spray. He keeps it rhythmic cadence, shooting precise 3-round bursts, 3 pale blue energy lights leap from the muzzle, crossing hundreds of meters in a blink, and converge on the front zombie. The first round tears through the shoulder, stalling the running zombie's momentum dead. The second drills the chest, blowing a fist-sized hole. The third hits the skull without suspense. The rotting head explodes like a watermelon struck by a hammer. Mush mixed with black blood and bone. A cold notification chimes that he has killed an ordinary zombie. Points up by 1, evolution bar up by 1%. Does the first level require 100? He wonders, hand never pausing. He is now tireless machine. Every brief pause, he locks onto a new target. Of the target, every 3-round burst lifts 1 more live, or rather not so live life from the field. Under that precise control, the overheat bar on his gun barely moves. At the far end of the 100-meter wall, the icy queen who calls herself Sial is putting up an equally professional standard. Her style is the opposite of his, no bursts. She uses extremely restrained short sprays, each 1 under a second, the muzzle spitting 4 to 5 bullets to form a small barrage of death. her single-point accuracy may be a notch below his, but her judgment for leading the target and her control of bullets spread are masterful. She picks the densest pocket in the tide every time and sprays a precise barrage over it, and every sweep drops a small handful in a clear arc. Her efficiency is in no way inferior to his precision bursts. He holds the left, Sial is on the right. The two of them are stabilizing pillars nailed to this section of wall, two completely different styles with equally terrifying killing power, tearing two huge gaps in the tide and forming the strongest pillars of the entire defense line. But pillars alone are not enough. The center of the line, absolute, terrifying chaos. These two are definitely not ready. Suman and Yungjang are performing like a total disaster. Suman has it slightly better since he is a young man with a touch more nerve. He tries to copy him and shoot in bursts, but the psychological pressure has his hands shaking violently, and he cannot keep the sight steady on any single zombie. 4 or 5 out of every 10 rounds hit empty ground and puffs of dust. The rest only graze bodies or limbs, never landing the killing blow. Yungjang is worse. She is shooting with her eyes nearly closed, saying nothing and holding the trigger down without letting go. A violent tongue of fire spews from her muzzle, flashes as countless energy bullets pour out, the barrel quickly turning red from the heat, emitting white smoke and a hissing sizzle during forced cooling. One thin lane opens in the horde before her, only to be instantly closed by the others, while Silola and Gang are efficiently clearing the flanks. The center line has no real defense, allowing the zombies to push toward the wall like a sharp blade. This breach is the first sign of a defense line about to collapse. Gang notices this but chooses not to nag them. And he does not scold them either. He simply shifts his aim during gaps when the pressure on his own sector eases, firing precise bursts into the leaking monsters rushing the front. A zombie about to close within 50 meters has its head instantly burst by a quick shot. Another zombie with legs broken by Suman, who is crawling on the ground, gets finished off too. Another point, another percent of the evolution bar. CLL does the same at the other end, occasionally splitting off precise barrage to sweep away any enemies approaching the wall. Without saying a word, the two of them tacitly clean up for their useless teammates, not only to protect their shared wall, but because, as the saying goes, only a fool leaves freebies on the table. These licked monsters mean free points and free evolution energy. Suddenly, a blue screen pops up above his gun, visible only to him, signaling that his evolution bar is full with 3 choices. Option A, armor-piercing bullets for 5 extra power. Option B, an extended magazine for 20% more limit. Option C, autonomous shooting mode where the weapon automatically targets and fires at the nearest enemy. Autonomous mode. Quite interesting. His gaze lingers on the options for less than half a second. He trusts his own aim, and overheating is barely an issue. He chooses option A. Without any hesitation, the system confirms a successful enhancement, boosting his bullet power to 10. He aims back into the distance and pulls the trigger. Once more, the next burst fires 3 heavier rounds. The target zombie's entire upper body completely disintegrates into a violent puff of pulped energy, even the one behind. It gets a massive hole torn through its chest. This sheer sense of power brings an indescribable wave of pure satisfaction, but just as the line is barely held together by May and Sale, the biggest ticking time bomb finally explodes. Siono's voice, sharp and incredibly angry, cuts across the wall, demanding to know if Gang is completely out of his mind, asking what the hell he thinks he is doing by stealing her kills, but Gang ignores her completely. To him, this woman's annoying screeching is no different from the roaring of the zombies in the distance. Then she begins her disastrous performance. Her marksmanship is absolutely terrible, overheating her gun's barrel in less than 10 seconds. Her fire is so scattered that she barely defeats a single zombie, yet she complains loudly, asking what kind of trash weapon this is and why it does not fire faster, glaring at Gang as if his weapon is somehow better than hers. She does not even dare to face the aggressive monsters charging at the front. Instead, she aims at one Suman already crippled, hoping to steal the points, but her shots only show off her incredibly poor aim. Suman angrily roars that the target is his, but she snaps back. That calling something yours does not make it answer. The repeated failures and that public scolding pushes her right over the edge into a humiliated, furious rage. She simply lets go of the levers, crosses her arms, and completely stops working. shouting that since they are all so amazing, they can do the fighting themselves. She is not helping anymore because even if the mission fails, nobody is actually going to die. Then she takes it further, spitting venomous insults directly at Suman and Zhang. The kids struggle to defend, but she calls Suman useless trash who has been firing forever without getting a single kill, asking if he went to college just to learn how to play with himself, then calling Zhang a crying mute, mockingly asking if her entire family was eaten by zombies since she loves mourning so much. Her vile words, like poison needles, stab deep into the chests of these two breaking kids. Suman's eyes flare red with pure frustration. His hands shake violently, sending his shots wide. Zhang was already incredibly timid, and this brutal abuse shatters her completely. She trembles, unable to even hold her weapon straight. She was at least trying to aim before, but now her desperate rounds fly everywhere. With that, the center of their defense is completely blown wide open. The last tiny obstacle collapses. Dozens of zombies howl like a dark, relentless tide tearing through their last barrier to crash violently against the wall. Dozens of decaying bodies slam into solid steel, the heavy thuds making the entire structural section shake. The wet, sickening crunch of decaying flesh hitting metal blends with the hoarse, choked gasps of monsters trapped in the corners. It is a sound that raises the hairs on his neck. The durability status bar hovering in midair begins to plummet at an alarming, visible rate. 99%, 98%, 95%. Under the relentless assault of the undead, the heavy barrier groans, steel grinding. The status bar slips from a perfect 100 down to 85%. And it continues to drop at a fast, steady pace. The cold shadow of death is creeping onto this 100-meter line with every single hit. Yet, even more suffocating than that is the icy tension among the team, which has plummeted straight to freezing. Trash So screams at them once more, "You are all just worthless trash," seeing that everyone remains silent, keeping their heads down or shooting blindly. Her toxic arrogance only swells. She mistakes their desperate silence for actual fear of her, snarling that she must have had 8 lifetimes of terrible luck to end up with such pathetic losers. She glares at Suman, asking if the glasses guy has Parkinson since his hands are trembling so much, before targeting the crying girl. Keep weeping and see if she does not rip her mouth open. Her putrid insults get more vicious by the second, eroding the already fragile, crumbling mental defenses of Suman and Zhang. The protagonist's brows knit tightly together. This toxic woman is no longer just a useless teammate. She is a live grenade in a tiny, crowded room, constantly screaming, poisoning the air, and waiting for the right moment to explode. Her destructiveness already easily surpasses the mass of zombies beneath them. He quickly switches his selected mental plant from a sunflower back to a pea shooter. The heavy guns mounted on the wall have safety limiters preventing them from turning inward on their own team, but his personal ability has no such restrictions. At the far right end of their defensive line, that wine-red figure suddenly stops shooting. Xiao lets go of her lever and slowly stands tall, her eyes cold as ice sweeping past the chaotic center and the raging zombies before locking directly on the screaming soil. There is absolutely no mercy left in that deadly glare. Pure, unadorned, bone-chilling killing intent. Xiao's body turns slightly, her muscles tensing in an imperceptible shift, her posture like a leopard preparing to leap on its prey. In the next second, she will leap down from the platform without hesitation, crossing this 100-meter front line to personally cut out the internal threat in the most direct and violent way possible. He sees the unmasked killing intent in Xiao's eyes. Suman's face flushes red with humiliation and rage while Zhang lies broken down, curled up and trembling beneath the platform. He watches the wall durability bar dropping at an accelerating rate. The defense line is about to collapse. This cannot go on. His gaze turns profound. He knows better than anyone that this event is not some simple points challenge. This is the first screening round of a brutal survival game here to filter out the mentally broken, the selfish, and those who cannot adapt to apocalyptic rules. The cost of failing is enormous, and the system already announced that multiplayer mode opens next if he falls behind right here and misses key reinforcement resources. At the next station, he will go from hunter to prey. When that time comes, he will not just be defeated, he will die. He refuses to die. His parents are still on Blue Star, waiting for him to save them. Therefore, anything hindering his survival must be eliminated, whether it is a zombie or a human. He sighs softly, so faint. It seems imagined. Swallowed by the chaos, he remains seated at his post, his left hand on the lever, and the barrel aimed at his sector. But his right hand lifts away. He extends a single index finger from distance toward the figure on the adjacent platform, still screaming curses. The pale, slender finger looks like absolutely nothing as her screaming reaches its climax, then a soft hiss, as faint as a dewdrop falling onto a leaf. A tiny green pellet the size of a thumb, looking like pure plant essence, streaks across the 20-meter gap between the two platforms at a speed the naked eye cannot catch. No breeze, no energy ripple, it just gently drills directly into her left temple. Silence falls as if the universe paused. Her sharp, venomous cursing breaks off instantly. Her eyes remain wide with fury, but all life is suddenly drained from them. Her body sways like a puppet with cut strings, falling straight from the 2-meter platform without a single sound. A dull thud echoes as she hits the ground. Immediately, a cold system notification chimes in his mind, as well as Suman's, Zhang's, and Xiao's. Their teammate Soyan has died. The 100-meter wall falls into a deathly silence. Distant gunfire and zombie roars sound like they are coming from another world. Anger and humiliation freeze on Suman's face, replaced instantly by an indescribable terror. He whips his head around, fixing him with a trembling stare, mouth wide open but unable to make any sound save for a wheezing hitch in his throat. Zhang, curled on the ground, trembles violently at the notification. She lifts her head slowly, her tear-streaked face showing an even more extreme level of fear than before. At the far end, Xiao, who was ready to act, pauses too. Her expression turns to pure shock, which lasts less than 2 seconds before shifting to a trace of understanding and appreciation. With a silent nod of appreciation, she sits back down and grips her lever. He keeps his expression completely blank, lowering his right hand slowly as if he had only just scratched an itch. He climbs down from his platform, walking over to the adjacent one, glances down at the lifeless body, then nimbly climbs up onto what had been her gun. Clean 3-round burst easily takes out several zombies preparing to climb the wall. Below, the system promptly informs him that he has killed an ordinary zombie. He clears out dozens more, and the evolution bar on this second gun fully fills. 3 options are shown. Option A is an armor-piercing warhead plus 2 power. Option B offers an autonomous firing mode, aiming and firing automatically at the nearest target. Option C is a paralysis field, giving struck enemies a chance to temporarily freeze. He chooses option B without hesitation. A faint blue light washes over the heavy weapon, making it seem to instantly come alive. Its barrel turns entirely on its own, spitting bursts of fire at zombies approaching down below. 1 person with dual control. The moment he sees this option, he realizes it is specifically designed to solve the problem of team attrition. After making his choice, he turns around to look at Suman and Yongjiang, who are both standing completely stunned, with eyes as calm as an ancient well. His voice is quiet but lands clearly. The annoying noise is gone, he tells them, so just focus on defending and you will be fine. He adds one more piece of advice, telling them if they really hate practicing they should just pick autonomous firing mode when their weapons upgrade. Of course, he still strongly suggests practicing, reminding them this is not Blue Star. Cowardice and tears will buy them zero sympathy here, and sooner or later they will have to face this brutal reality alone. Meanwhile, Sony's body lies cold and neglected under the mount without anyone sparing her a single look. To this defense line, now back on its proper track, she is no different from the zombies that have been pulped beneath the wall. Across the battlefield, a scene of grim efficiency clicks into place. The 40-meter defense zone on the far left becomes a total death sector, with him now controlling 2 cold killing machines. The one he operates personally maintains a suffocating and steady rhythm of 3-round bursts. Every volley of howling energy bullets seems to come alive, finding skulls with pinpoint precision and cleanly reaping them. Right beside him, the secondary turret, configured to autonomous mode, carries out its duty faithfully, though its fire is a bit erratic and accuracy low, occasionally stopping to cool down. It needs no operator. The intermittent flame pours a hail of lead into the nearest horde, greatly delaying their advance. Surprisingly, its kill rate on ordinary zombies is even higher than his manual gun. Precise hunting and area suppression form a perfect combination under his control. This terrifying efficiency is absolutely crazy to watch. Seared Into Suman's mind, the fear in his chest, met by those quiet words, morphs into a profound awe. No more complaints, no more distractions. He grits his teeth and pours all his energy into defending his 20-meter zone, keeping those hard words locked in his mind. He struggles to control his breathing and master short bursts. He remains flustered, but his hit rate climbs slowly and steadily, fueled by a desperate will to survive. Yungjang is still deeply terrified, tears staining her pale face. Yet, she realizes belatedly that since the terrible woman with the vicious mouth vanished from the wall, her world has finally gone quiet, leaving only the endless roar of gunfire and the screams of zombies ringing in her ears. No more of that painful cursing. Trembling, she grips the lever again. Fear still grips her, but at least she can finally aim her weapon at those hideous monsters without any interference and squeeze the trigger hard. Over on the far right, Saul has transformed back into a precise, efficient killing machine. Her eyes are colder and sharper than ever before. Short bursts from her gun swing like the Grim Reaper's scythe, mercilessly reaping every single life in her zone. The fifth wave arrives right on schedule. The warning sirens blare that high mobility units have been detected. Everyone needs to be on guard as over a dozen fast black shadows dart out from the back of the horde. They are a new breed of zombie, leaner and smaller than ordinary ones, sprinting on all fours like cheetahs at terrifying speeds, leaping and weaving through the ruins. Their movements are so erratic that aiming is almost impossible. Damn it, Suman screams in sheer panic, unable to land a single hit. His bursts leave only a trail of useless bullet holes behind those shadows. Zhang's cover fire is even worse, with the creatures slipping straight through it. Even Xiao on the far side makes her very first mistake. She fires a predictive volley, but one agile zombie executes a bizarre, sharp turn right around it. Her brow furrows slightly. She shifts her strategy instantly, abandoning precise shots to unleash longer, heavier bursts. Instead, she uses a thick wall of lead to blanket her area and forcefully halt their advance. He misses too, his first 3-round burst only clipping a concrete slab behind the target. Too fast, his eyes narrow as he concentrates, his focus even harder. In an instant, the world around him slows to a crawl. Every muscle twitch on that fast zombie is caught, with every stride an invisible strand of his consciousness binds the beast like an unseen chain. He has less than a second to lock his target, then he fires 2 rounds. The first strikes the rear leg just as it leaps, blasting the limb completely off. The agile creature screams and tumbles violently from the momentum. The second bullet, as if guided by magic, tracks the rolling target and punches straight into its skull. Dark blood splatters everywhere. The system alerts him that the beast is dead, awarding 10 points and boosting his evolution slot by 5%. Over the next dozen seconds, he downs 5 more using this method, but on the 6th kill, sudden dizziness flashes at the back of his mind. Checking his status panel, he finds his spirit is down to 5.9 out of 11. There is a heavy cost. His basic weapon loadout drained 2 points, while those moments of extreme concentration burned through 3 more. His remaining energy is not enough to survive this endless horde. Should he crack open the basic spirit recovery potion that serves as his last trump card? No, not yet. Even if he restores his energy, it is just a drop in the bucket against this massive sea of monsters. He instantly rejects the idea. That potion must be saved for the final crisis. Looking around at the others, the 3 targets on Xiao's side are already dealt with. Only one agile zombie remains on the field, having luckily dodged Xiao's fierce barrage. Now rushing the center where Suman and Zhang stand, Suman roars out to stop it, swinging his weapon in terror, but the creature's movements are too erratic to lock. He is a beat slow because of his low spirit, and Saul's gun has overheated from her massive suppression fire. At this critical second, Suman suddenly unleashes his hidden potential, screaming at Zhang to shoot to the left of the beast, to block its path completely. Firing wildly but with clear direction, startled by the shout, Yungjang recovers from her panic, bites her lip, and aims at the left side of the zombie's path before pulling the trigger. The resulting barrage successfully blocks its route, forcing the beast to turn right, putting it square in the line of fire. Suman predicted. Die, he yells, his eyes bloodshot as he pours in all his bullets. The mutated zombie is shredded in the dense net, and the last piece falls helplessly less than 10 meters from the wall. The 2 of them gasp violently, faces filled with lingering fear and the sheer ecstasy of survival. Well done, he tells them, a brief word of encouragement landing clearly in their ears. Both are Stunned, then a massive sense of achievement and the joy of being recognized floods their chests, instantly dispelling their remaining fear. They look at each other, finding a new trace of resolve, their confidence higher than ever. The battle continues in a tense, orderly rhythm. The 6th through ninth waves turn into a point farming performance for Squad 106. After his main turret gets a power enhancement and another armor-piercing warhead, the rounds it fires become visibly thicker and longer. Now, a single 3-round burst can shatter a zombie skull on the first shot in half. Rounds 2 and 3 carry undiminished momentum to punch holes through 2 or 3 zombies behind. Taking out 3 or 4 with one burst is normal. Suman, after recognizing his accuracy issues, wisely chooses high-explosive warheads. Now, every shot, even if it misses, blows the limbs off several nearby zombies upon impact. More than making up for his poor marksmanship, Jong's gun, after stacking overheat reduction and explosive upgrades, becomes practically the equal of his autonomous turret. The two join forces and weave a steel wall of explosions and shredding shrapnel in the center. Wall durability stays steady when the 10th wave's warning sounds. Silence momentarily falls over the battlefield. Warning, boss-level unit detected. Please prepare yourselves. From the horizon come heavy footsteps like a massive pile driver. Thump, 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 each step vibrating in every chest and ear. Then the distant horde erupts. The dark sea of corpses is parted from within by an invisible force. Countless ordinary zombies are violently knocked aside, trampled and crushed under brute force. Out of the flying dust and torn flesh, a giant rises with overwhelming power, a 3-meter titan covered in heavy bone armor like medieval plate, iron-gray skin with hideous bone spurs jutting along it, its head sheathed in a bone helmet, leaving only small hollows where eyes should be to flash a dark scarlet light. Every step trembles the ground. Behind it, 5 elite zombies follow, fast as ghosts. Sure enough, heavy armor units, he mutters. That right, those heavy footsteps continue to hammer everyone's chest. The heavily armored zombie, standing over 3 meters tall, is crushing everything in its path, approaching the wall step by step. The 5 swift zombies behind it follow their master like loyal hounds, crimson gazes locked on the 4 figures atop the wall. On their line, the confidence and morale they just built up instantly shatters. In the face of this pure tyrannical power, Suman's face goes pale in an instant, and his hands on the levers begin to tremble uncontrollably. The confidence he just built up is like a sandcastle struck by a massive wave. Pure despair, they are on the verge of collapsing. How do they even fight this? Powerless, Jong curls up as the tiny spark in her eyes turns to sheer terror. The monstrosity towering before her is way beyond anything she can comprehend. His own gaze grows heavier than ever as a crushing physical pressure fills the air. It is the terrifying presence of the heavy armored zombie. He glances at his team. His 2 teammates are ready to collapse, but he speaks with absolute calm. He tells them to leave the big guy to him, his quiet words acting like a solid anchor. The panic in their chests instantly melts away as they snap their heads up. They stare at his perfectly composed face, and the crushing weight of fear suddenly lifts. He tells the 2 of them to target the 5 smaller threats first. No saving ammo, total suppressive fire. End this fast. Before his words even fade, suddenly 5 agile zombies burst from behind the giant brute like released arrows. They charge the defensive line at a terrifying speed, unlike anything they have faced. His focus locks in, his eyes tracking the 5 dark shapes blurring through ruins. But this time he actively holds back from entering his hyper-focus state. He knows that state burns way too much energy, and it is his ultimate trump card. These lesser monsters are simply not worth wasting his precious mental strength on. He completely shifts tactics, ditching his signature precision shots for a wild spray. A wall of fire erupts from his muzzle, creating a heavy, blinding barrage. It blankets the path of the oncoming zombies, cutting off their advance entirely. He simply predicts their path and constructs an absolute wall of death, pure tactical genius. The 2 leading zombies slam directly into the heavy wall of armor-piercing rounds. They are instantly shredded into flying, bloody pieces. It is less efficient than his precision shots, and his gun is rapidly overheating. But the massive advantage here is that it keeps his precious energy completely safe. Nearby, Suman copies his tactic, unloading high explosive rounds to suppress the threats. He cannot land clean direct hits, but the massive blasts successfully slow them down. Xiao pushes her firepower to the absolute limit, rapidly taking down her two targets. Yongzhang pauses in the middle of the chaos, noticing his sudden change in style. A deep flash of hesitation and intense struggle quickly crosses her face. She wonders if his incredible precision from earlier came with a terrible cost. The realization hits her. It must be spirit power. She desperately wants to speak up. She wants to ask if he changed tactics because his energy is running low. Desperately wanting to explain her talent, she finds her voice failing. Her crippling social anxiety locks her throat. Talking to others is absolute torture. And the person she needs to speak to is the exact same ruthless man. The one who shot a living person in cold blood without even blinking. That brutal scene left a deep shadow in her heart. She is utterly terrified. She fears he will look at her like she is already a corpse, so she stays silent. Yongzhang bows her head, channeling all her terrifying fear directly into the trigger. She unleashes absolute chaos, hoping the deafening noise will hide her own cowardice. Once the 5 small zombies are wiped out, the heavy armored giant finally approaches. He completely shrugs off their bullets, walking forward step by slow step. His sharp eyes narrow as he prepares the devastating 3-round burst. 3 heavily enhanced armor-piercing rounds tear through the air. 3 pale blue energy streaks slice through the air, hitting the bow. Armor helmet clang, clang, clang. A sharp metallic echo rings out. Across the defensive wall, his eyes go wide. This is terrifying. An attack that easily shreds normal zombies barely does anything to this monster. Just 3 tiny, shallow dents on the heavy helmet, then Seal fires. Her armor-piercing rounds strike at the exact same moment. No use. Sparks fly harmlessly off the thick bone armor, her specific enhancement. Path of high fire rate is useless against heavy defense like this. Suman and Zhangzhang fire high explosive rounds, but it is like scratching in. It's through a heavy boot. When the thick smoke finally clears, there is not even a single black mark on its heavy armor. Seriously, how do you even fight this? Suman screams in despair. His heart sinks. Still, he keeps firing rapid. Bursts at the exact same spot, desperately trying to crack the shell. His mind races. This is too slow. They cannot break through. Before this titan reaches the wall, its weakness must be the head shatter the helmet and it dies. But how? Suddenly his eyes lock onto the narrow slits in the helmet. The eyes. There is no bone defense there, but those tiny slits are incredibly small, and the monster keeps moving. Aiming there is a complete pipe dream, but there is no other choice. None. He takes a breath, lowers his muzzle, and fires 3 shots. Clang, clang, clang. Every single round hits the heavy bone armor. He tries twice more, same result. The beast is already closing to within 100 meters. Talk about intense. Mockery shines in those red eyes. He grits his teeth, no hesitation now. His eyes snap open. Instantly, the entire world slows down. The giant zombie's forward march is dragged to a crawl in his vision. He can see the tiny rotations of its red pupils. 2 perfect bursts fly in 2 seconds. 6 bullets like vengeful light pierce the air and slam directly into its right eye. A deafening roar of pure agony explodes from its jaws. It stops, then like a total madman it spins wildly. Its massive, heavy arms swing like giant hammers, smashing the ground with insane, mindless fury. Craters blow open everywhere. Countless ordinary zombies behind it are instantly shredded into a bloody meat, paced by the wild attack. The giant monster forcibly clears a wide, empty circle of 20 meters around itself. Now is their chance. Fire with everything, he roars. The others snap out of it and immediately unleash absolute hell. Countless bullets and massive explosions rain down on the thrashing beast. Though they cannot pierce the heavy armor, the constant pain intensifies. Its health begins to drop slowly. After 12 agonizing seconds, the madness settles. It returns to normal, its single eye glaring with pure hatred. It is still coming. A cold, ruthless light flashes. In his eyes, he activates his spirit lock again, firing 2 more precise 3-round bursts directly into the bleeding eye. Another shriek. Brutal howl echoes as another localized frenzy erupts with concentrated fire. This deadly cycle repeats twice. He activates his spear lock a 3rd time. Pouring another heavy round into the mangled socket, the arrogant boss finally breaks. The giant, heavy body collapses to its knees and crashes hard onto the dirt. Dust plumes everywhere as the system congratulates Squad 106 for the kill. They successfully took down the boss-level armored tyrant larvae, evaluation rewards them. 200 points are credited. Sumin and Xiao let out a massive sigh of relief. But Gang looks worse than ever. His spirit is down to just 4 points out of 11. Pushing his limits to down the beast has drained him to a dangerous brink. His pale face shows extreme exhaustion. Suddenly, a tiny trembling voice rises beside him. "Big brother Gang." He turns his head toward the source of the faint call. There stands the timid Li Jiangjong, staring nervously with wide, expectant eyes. She asks if he just used his spirit power, gathering all her remaining courage. Her voice is barely a soft whisper, almost entirely lost under the heavy gunfire. Yet her words make his pupils shrink. She says her talent can restore spirit. Her faint voice is nearly swallowed by the non-stop, roaring gunfire around them. But to Gang, those words land like a massive bolt of rolling thunder. He whips his head back, his dim, exhausted eyes suddenly flashing with intense focus. For the first time all day, his pale face shows a wave of emotion. It is a wild mix of shock and absolute ecstasy. What did she just say? His voice is hoarse with sheer excitement. His intense presence suddenly flares up. The girl instinctively steps back, terrified she might have said something wrong. Her soft voice stutters even more under his intense, heavy gaze. She stammers out that her talent is called spirit feedback. Seeing her terrified face, almost on the verge of tears, he realizes he completely lost his cool. Forcing his wild emotions down, he takes a slow, deep breath. He speaks in the gentlest tone he can muster, slowing his words right down. Assuring her there is no danger, he promises no harm and asks for more details. This talent could easily save everyone here if she explains it to him. His voice carries deep sincerity and a hint of desperate hope. She is stunned to see such pure, honest relief in his expression. It is not a trick, but the genuine joy of a starving survivor. She realizes he is actually thrilled, not angry at her at all. With that realization, the heavy weight crushing her chest finally lifts away. A warm feeling spreads through her, washing away her fear and insecurity. She is finally useful to the group and can actually help keep him alive. Her mind settles, her thoughts clear up, and her voice grows steady. She explains that her spirit feedback talent actually has 2 distinct modes. First is a slow recharge. She spends 1 point of her spirit. The chosen target will slowly recover 3 spirit points over an hour. His second option is an emergency transfer to quickly restore him. She can instantly dump her entire pool to him at a 1-to-1 ratio. Weakness is the only downside of this move, leaving Gang absolutely stunned. This is no ordinary talent. It is a priceless walking goldmine. A mobile battery pack with an insane 1-to-3 efficiency ratio. His fatal flaw, a mage's explosive power, but a rapidly draining spirit bar, is fully resolved. It is fully compensated at this moment. This is enough, indeed more than enough. He tells her, a sharp light of ambition flickering in his eyes as he speaks. Li Jiangjong, listen closely. You are the absolute treasure of this team. Your safety is our highest priority, he says, sparing no praise or promises. He instructs her to only use slow feedback and avoid the taxing second type. She softly agrees, receiving a warm and solemn nod of affirmation from him. A heartfelt, brilliant smile blooms on her face for the very first time. She nods heavily, raising her fair hand to aim at him from a distance. A soft, nearly invisible pale blue glimmer flies from her fingertips, silently merging inside. A cool, vibrant energy, like a clear mountain stream, pours into his tired body. It slowly floods his parched sea of spirit. The constant rejuvenation is incredibly reassuring. Feeling himself being continuously nourished and restored brings deep relief. The system confirms he has gained the spirit feedback effect, recovering 3 points. This recovery lasts over the next hour. He offers her his solemn thanks. She shyly tells him he is welcome before turning back to her gun. Her mood has completely shifted. Her gunfire becomes steadier and far more confident. The cowardice on her face is replaced by a radiant sense of value. With constant spirit replenishment as his backup, he now has 0 worries. He throws himself back into the fray, strictly sticking to the upgrade plan. His main turret keeps stacking raw power and armor penetration stats. The autonomous turret goes all in on area damage and debuff effects. Now look at this, out of the corner of his eye, he spots a neighboring tragedy. A team of 5 unfortunate male survivors is facing absolute disaster. A heavily armored tyrant has reached their wall, slamming massive fists against it. Blow after devastating blow, making their entire defensive section tremble violently. The wall durability bar is plummeting rapidly, looking ready to collapse. It drops below the warning line as 5 desperate survivors attack in vain. Their faces are pure despair until he calls out with an offer. His helpful voice lands like an absolute godsend to the 5 stunned neighbors. Clutching at straws like drowning men, their burly leader shouts back desperately. He begs with everything he has for rescue. Our hero gives a simple agreement. With a mobile mana fountain supporting him, he has endless energy to spare. He locks his main turret onto the rampaging, heavily armored tyrant. Activating extreme focus, the entire world slows down to a crawl. He aims directly at the tiny eye slits. Real power crushes any defense. He fires 3 precise bursts in 3 seconds. 9 enhanced armor-piercing rounds fly. They streak forward like 9 brilliant meteors, tearing through the air. Every shot strikes the target's eye sockets with pinpoint accuracy. They penetrate instantly, churning its foul brain into pure mush. The once invincible monster freezes mid-swing, losing all strength. Its massive corpse slumps forward, dead silence falls over the line. The 5 survivors stare, utterly dumbfounded, their minds completely blank. A few seconds pass before they erupt into a world-shaking cheer. They shout, begging to become his loyal, helpful followers on the spot. Gratitude and praise flood in. He simply nods, calmly turning his muzzle away. He acts like it was nothing special. Nearby, Seal's freezing stare sweeps over them. Her eyes linger on Zhang and him. She stays silent, but a faint, almost invisible shock flickers in her eyes. She understands the truth better than anyone else. That sudden burst of power means their squad's strength has reached an absolute nightmare level. The next clashes prove her right. From the 11th wave to the 39th, this is no longer a defense. Team 106 is staging a complete one-sided slaughter as weapon levels rise. One's deadly monsters shred like wet paper once his main weapon unlocks the high-frequency vibration core. His bullets trigger a devastating reaction that shatters internal organs and armor upon impact. Every single target he locks onto is instantly reduced to a bloody mist. His automated turret deploys cluster bombs and gravity-slowing fields. Tiny bomblets rain down for a second wave of destruction, leaving energy fields that trap the horde so they cannot move. Meanwhile, Suman and Zhang command upgraded artillery that fires devastating, high-explosive payloads, coating the entire zone in a sea of roaring fire. Against this endless firepower, the battlefield turns into a brutal, screaming hellscape of tearing metal, shockwaves, and blazing heat. Absolutely no monster can step within 100 meters of their wall. The massive tide has transformed from a deadly threat into simple farming points. Fighting feels easy, routine, and honestly a little tedious. Wall integrity holds steady at 85%, but just when they expect a clean sweep to end it all. Wave 40 strikes. The speakers blare final warning. The giant is here, good luck. To all units, the system announcer loses its robotic tone this time, revealing a shuddering trace of human dread. Like a heavy sigh of pity, the deafening roar of cannons falls dead silent. Thump, 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 the oncoming footsteps sound like a localized earthquake, making their heavy steel wall shudder. On the far horizon, a colossal silhouette larger than anything they imagined slowly begins to rise. It has been lurking in the dark this entire time. Everyone mistook its massive body for a mountain of ruins. It stands over 10 meters tall, looking exactly like a moving siege fortress. Black stone armor covers its entire skeletal frame. This is a supreme mutant. Its crown rises higher than their defensive battlements. Burning behind its massive helmet are ruby-red eyes that glow with malice, slowly scanning the battlefield as it glares down at the tiny defenders scattered across the wall, treating them like absolute insects. Jagged spikes grow from its thick bone armor, catching the cold sunlight. All sound in the area seems to vanish, swallowed by the Titan's shadow. Heavy cannon fire, shouting soldiers, and the whistling wind all fade into absolute silence under the heavy pressure of those giant eyes. Under those unblinking red eyes, all courage evaporates. What they are experiencing is a deep primal panic, the absolute dread of an insect facing an unstoppable god. Suman trembles, stammering out that this has to be some kind of bad joke. His voice rasps like harsh sandpaper, the massive heavy machine gun in his trembling hands, which felt like a perfect slaughter tool just moments ago. That wall from before suddenly looks ridiculous. Li Zhongjang cannot make a sound. She clutches her mouth tightly. She holds back the rising scream. Even Xiao, usually cold as ice, feels cold sweat break out. She grips the heavy control levers tightly, for the very first time. He swallows hard, his heart hammering as a rush of complex emotions. Floods his chest. He knows perfectly well that this massive beast in front of them is no longer something any single squad can handle. Sure enough, the towering monster does not immediately attack in any specific direction. Instead, it opens its cavernous mouth and lets out a deafening roar. The system blares a warning that the giant armored zombie has awakened and will launch indiscriminate attacks across the entire defensive line. Wall speakers echo the terrifying announcement across every single combat section. There is only one giant here. He instantly grasps the key information. This means it is a public boss, a final test for survivors. Across the entire area to face together, it is also the key to widening the point gap. The giant roars and starts moving, striding forward on massive legs like bridge pillars, charging. Thump, thump. Thump, the earth wails and space trembles. They cannot let it get close. His eyes sharpen like knives as he instantly activates his precious focus. State his spirit is at 6 out of 11. The world slows. He locks precisely onto the massive ruby-like goggles over its right eye. 2-3 round bursts reinforced multiple times to the limit, carrying his strongest armor-piercing capability, tracing a brilliant energy trail in the air, and slamming fiercely into the exact same spot on the red goggles. A series of crisp, echoing sounds like a struck bronze bell rolls across the entire battlefield. His pupils constrict suddenly, the attack that was enough to shatter a heavy tyrant's bone armor, and its head this time is completely deflected. The 6 high-energy, armor-piercing concussive rounds are like striking an immovable wall, ricocheting uselessly, leaving only a negligible pale white scratch on the mirror-smooth goggles. Damn, he blurts out. A curse. Honestly, this insane defense completely exceeds his expectations. He glances at the almost unchanged goggles, then at his remaining 6 spirit points. The most rational and calm judgment lands at once. Give up for now until a real weakness is found or its defense is worn down. Wasting spirit and ammunition is futile, only drawing its attention to him. Everyone, ignore the big guy, he shouts. The order explodes on the wall like thunder. Focus on clearing the elite monsters and leaders following behind. Hold the line. The command pulls his dazed teammates back to reality. Xiao reacts first, immediately turning her muzzle to pour fire onto the waves of heavy zombies charging alongside the giant. Sumun and Lai Zhongjiang follow at once. They have developed an almost instinctive absolute trust in his orders. His main turret becomes a precise, efficient scavenger. He stops paying attention to the giant zombie, closing in step by step, and focuses all his attention on the mobs that are still lethal. To ordinary survivors, under a 6-round burst, a heavy tyrant's helmet shatters. Instantly, 2 types of zombies are intercepted and blown apart in midair by his predictive fire, providing a solid defensive shield for the entire team. The cover spreads to neighboring squads, but the giant's heavy footsteps refuse to slow down. It finally reaches the base of the wall, raising a massive battering ram fist. Watch closely. This fist carries 10,000 tons of devastating force, slamming into the defenses. The entire wall shakes. The 100-meter section is on the brink of collapse. Its durability drops instantly from 100% down to a shocking 70%. Terrified cries erupt from the survivors along the line. The onslaught is relentless. The giant acts like a tireless siege engine, using pure violence to ravage everything. Screams and explosions echo alongside the groans of structures. Section after section bleeds. Their defense ratings drop rapidly from 70 to 60%. Very soon, the durability of the first section falls below the critical 50% warning line. Suddenly, a brilliant sky-blue hexagonal shield of pure energy rises from the wall and firmly blocks the incoming strikes. High atop the waiting hall tower, the mysterious guard, who has been silent this entire time, slowly raises his energy spear. The defensive line is severely damaged, and his cold voice booms. Cross Plains Town, Protector Protocol initiated. Nearby guard units immediately begin taking over the defense zones. Take those failures down, one by one. Blue energy shields flare to life on walls, with critically low durability ratings. This safety freezes the survivors' fear, and they pour rage and endless bullets onto the giant. Thousands of bullets slam into its massive body like rain. Under this concentrated storm, the heavy bone armor begins to crack open. The head is the primary target, and trust me, they are focusing everything there. Down and peeled away under the bombardment, revealing a fragile inner structure. Its two ruby-like goggles are no longer smooth, now covered in webs of fine cracks that look ready to shatter at any given second. He has been waiting, biding his time for the perfect final blow. After clearing out the remaining elite monsters, his main turret leisurely picks off shots at the giant's head. He waits for the helmet to be on the verge of shattering as his spirit slowly recovers under Yunjiang's mobile fountain, raising his spirit pool to 8 out of 11 points. Seeing his spirit hit 8 and noticing the giant's slowed movements, he knows the time has come. He calls out over the channel, telling Xiao, Sumun, and Yunjiang to prepare suppressive fire to draw attention. His voice crackles in the team chat with absolute and undeniable determination. He needs the beast facing their way. The three understand immediately, ramping up their firepower to the absolute maximum. Xiao's dense barrage tightly blocks its vision, while Sumun's high-explosive fire shells erupt in massive bursts of flame on its cheeks. Yunjiang's deceleration field slows the beast's movements by half a beat, precisely drawing its attention. It slowly turns its massive body toward Squad 106. He takes a deep breath and exhales slowly, his eyes narrowing with focus. Veins bulge on his forehead as he mobilizes all 8 points of spirit. At once, without reservation, that familiar, divine lock-on sensation returns. But this time the world slows down, crystal clear as he locks onto his target. He targets a single point now, the tiny intersection of cracks on the giant's shattered goggles. His focus locks onto a spot smaller than a needle's tip, his right hand. Squeezes the trigger tight. He still fires in bursts, but the effect is a continuous stream of devastation. A long, unbroken cadence rattles from his main turret. The barrel, reinforced several times and shimmering with cold metal light, begins to glow red-hot. As the temperature climbs higher, he does not care in the slightest. In the final seconds before the weapon overheats and shuts down, nearly 100 high-energy bullets, packed with his strongest power and armor-piercing attributes, transform into a highly concentrated torrent of energy. They cross several hundred meters with a fierce will to tear everything apart, slamming violently into the exact point he has locked onto. Talk about absolute precision. Time slows down as the first round hits the intersection, deepening the crack, then the second, the third, the 10th, a continuous stream of bullets carrying that same terrifying kinetic energy slams relentlessly into the exact same spot. Finally, the overwhelming pressure triggers a massive breakthrough. A faint, incredibly clear sound of shattering rings out. Amidst the violent torrent of metal, the point is pierced right through, creating a tiny gap that becomes the absolute final blow, breaking down the beast's defenses. It is the collapse of the giant's entire defense system. Subsequent bullets meet zero resistance, pushing through the tiny gap like a raging flood. Finding an escape, they frantically pour deep inside the giant's massive head. The high-frequency vibration core triggers as dozens of bullets simultaneously unleash a devastating wave of resonance inside its enclosed skull cavity. That massive head, which once seemed completely indestructible, becomes a sealed iron box with 100 bombs ticking inside. It completely disintegrates from the inside out. With a roar, the giant's fist. Just look at that, the fist stiffens in midair, its crimson eyes flicker with confusion for the first and last time as its massive, mountain-like body crashes backward. Thick bone armor shatters into pieces on impact, while the violent shock wave sends nearby ordinary zombies flying dozens of meters away. With a massive boom, the ground shakes violently. Dust swirls as the glowing crimson eyes slowly fade, losing all light. The system chimes in, congratulating the recruits. They successfully repelled the massive zombie tide and defended Plains Town. The monsters are retreating. Everyone is ordered to the waiting hall. They must find the quartermaster to claim their rewards. The air inside is thick with the heavy metallic stench of sweat and a faint trace of blood. Hundreds of battle-worn survivors crowd into the cramped space, whispering in low voices. Countless voices intertwine into a constant hum like a swarm of flies. On the wall, directly in front of the hall, hang two massive screens, their cold white light reflecting off everyone's faces. The left screen, taking up only a fifth of the space, scrolls with bright red text showing individual point rankings for the Plains Town defense battle. from highest to lowest only after a person claims their reward. Does their name scroll down? Those who have not claimed remain pinned at the top, subjected to everyone's scrutiny. The right screen. Blue text fills the screens, listing all the exchangeable supplies and required points. Every line tugs hard at the survivor's nerves. A subspace storage box. Type 1 costs 8,000 points, capped at 100 units. Cleaning cabin 0 points. A multifunctional cooking station is 2,000 points. Another upgrade. 5,000 points. An autonomous machine gun turret is 2,500 points. A steam locomotive upgrade blueprint is 1,000 points, continuing down the list. Below the screens, a row of counters gleams with a cold metallic luster. Quartermaster Lilith sits behind them with her legs crossed, looking completely impatient. Guards armed with live ammunition stand tall right outside the counters. Their black rifle muzzles pointing diagonally at the ground, sharp eyes constantly scan, stopping any rash moves from the restless crowd. Survivors crowd around the screens, some calculate while others stare at the rankings. That wave was too intense, someone mutters. The walls on both sides of mine had their shields shattered, wiped out. Mine was just one hit away. Almost lost 6,000 points. Another sneers, well, I have 12,600. That autonomous machine gun turret is perfect for defense, but it costs 2,500. The subspace storage box is too expensive. Wait, there is one. For 0 points, that is an absolute steal. And who is this insane player at the top of the list? 28,000 points. Is that possible? He stands in the middle of the hall, flanked by Suman, Zhang, and Xiao. He looks over at the left screen. His identification number sits firmly in 5th place, followed by a striking number, 23,000 points. His fingers unconsciously rub his chin while his mind races through calculations. The subspace storage box is a must, 10 cubic meters, and items do not affect the train's weight limit. It is a vital necessity given the heavy supplies he is about to carry. The train's medical cabin has to be exchanged too. If he catches a fever or takes a minor injury later, he would rather not drag it out to a terminal illness, waiting to die. No thanks. The cleaning cabin is free, so that is definitely a take. The multifunctional cooking station and simple water purifier blueprints will improve quality of life and prevent water shortages, especially since he has been chewing compressed biscuits at every meal for days and is thoroughly sick of them. The balanced locomotive upgrade blueprint suits his preferences best, balancing both speed and load. Then comes fuel and basic supplies. Coal and iron are non-negotiable since train upgrades. In crafting both eat them. A bulletproof vest, since his stab-proof vest is not going to cut it. As for weapons and autonomous guns, although he wants them, he passes after calculating the points. With his pea-shooter he can replace the autonomous gun in most situations, and after loading that pea-shooter he is personally far stronger than if he were holding a blade. Number 999603777, come exchange, Lilith calls lazily. The man at the top of the points list wears a blood-stained tracksuit, lean with a ruthless gaze. As he walks to the counter, the crowd around him subconsciously backs away. Complete silence. Then a hushed commotion rises. It is him. Someone whispers, I remember him. Their team was right next to ours. They started with 5, now he is the only survivor. I saw it myself, another whispers. They say during the second wave, he pushed 2 teammates down to feed the zombies, and during the final wave against the giants, he finished off the remaining 2, a complete madman, a murderer. Nobody dares make eye contact. The whispers are quiet, but they easily reach those nearby as he speaks without emotion, voice raspy as he names his exchanges. Subspace storage box, locomotive blueprint, an exquisite spear, a bow, and an ordinary arrow. Infinite use blueprint, plus a primary spirit recovery pill. An autonomous gun turret, medical cabin, cleaning cabin, and 40 units of iron, 40 units of wood, 40 units of coal, and 20 portions of compressed biscuits, 20 portions of water. Lilith taps her fingers quickly, leaving 0 points. Trade confirmed. He takes the reward box and turns to leave. As he pushes through the crowd, his cold, ruthless eyes sweep over everyone, terrifying them into instinctively lowering their heads. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places are all similar cases, sole survivors of their teams covered in fresh blood stains and scars from combat, all choosing offensive weapons and gear. Something is not right here, someone mutters. Why are the top rankers all loners with Ridiculous points, then a survivor figures it out, his voice trembling. It was the autonomous mode. These guys are too ruthless. What do you mean? Asks. Another survivor. They slaughtered their own teammates, he answers. They let their teammate guns fire in autonomous mode for continuous output, and in the end, they hog the entire team points for themselves. Holy crap, gasps the first. You can actually do that. The tone of the discussion shifts instantly as the initial envy vanishes, replaced by a chilling weariness and deep fear. Even the breathing in the room becomes heavy. Now, the spotlight falls on him as he steps forward. Slowly, posture upright, expression calm. Suman follows right behind him, radiating a sense of pride, perhaps because his face lacks the extreme ruthlessness of the men ahead of him, looking too gentle. A harsh sneer comes from behind as soon as he stands still. The speaker is a burly man with a full beard and a hideous scar stretching from the corner of his eye to his temple, looking fierce. On purpose, he crosses his arms over his chest and deliberately raises his voice so the entire hall can hear. Tusk, 5th place with 23,000 points, he says. Is he not also a ruthless monster who slaughtered teammates for those points? Otherwise, how could he get such an insane score? Immediately, all eyes focus on him. Suman turns beet red instantly. He lunges forward a step, his chest heaving as he points at the bearded man and shouts back that they know nothing. Their team originally had 5 members, but that person named Soyan started slacking off during the first wave of zombies. It is one thing to hide in the back and not fight, but she kept constantly harassing and insulting Zhang. Brother Gang clearing out an internal traitor who actively sabotaged the team is perfectly justified. His loud roar silences the hall completely, and the crowd immediately splits into 2 factions. Traitors who mess with other minds should be eliminated, says one voice. The idiot in their team was exactly like that, having terrible aim but blaming everything on everyone else. Exactly. Agrees another, because letting parasites live drags the entire team score down. Voices of agreement rise from survivors, whose faces are filled with exhaustion, and the crowd grows resentful. Others quickly join the bearded man in heckling. Why act so noble? How can anyone score this high without killing teammates? Exactly, another person chimes in. He probably used a dirty trick to steal his teammates' points to scrape together that high ranking. Hearing the support, the bearded man's smile grows more triumphant as he watches Gang with contempt. Gang keeps absolutely silent. Not a single word slips out. He just glances at the scar over the man's left brow and silently memorizes his face. This guy will regret this later, if they meet again. Later, Gang hopes he stays this tough. Suddenly, Quartermaster Lilith taps the counter and breaks the dispute. 5th place, 23,000 points. What are you buying? Gang withdraws his gaze and tells her the exact plan he already calculated. Subspace storage box, balanced enhanced steam locomotive upgrade blueprint. Train medical cabin, cleaning cabin, multifunctional cooking station, simple. Balanced type steam locomotive blueprint, 1 unit. Train carriage blueprint, 10 units, 20 units of coal, 40 units of iron, 10 units of compressed biscuits, 10 units of water. Her fingers calculate rapidly. Total 23,000, 0 remaining. Confirm. She nods and pulls out palm-sized silver box from under the counter and hands it to Gang. A playful smile curls at the corner of her mouth as she leans toward his ear and whispers, softly telling him she likes the look of him, and as a friendly tip, the box and everything inside will disappear in 3 hours. Talk about a ticking clock. Gang takes the cool box and instinctively activates his system hint panel. Temporary event reward box, type one-time storage item, status openable. Destruction countdown, 2 hours, 59 minutes and 50 seconds. Note, please remove internal items immediately. The box will be automatically destroyed after the time limit. Gang understands. He nods his thanks to Lilith and pockets the box. His 3 companions behind him have different expressions. Sail remains expressionless, but her eyes hold a look of realization. Yungjong tightly grips the corner of her clothes, looking like she wants to say something. Suman opens his mouth, originally wanting to remind Gang to exchange for an autonomous machine gun turret, then remembers how So Seo died. That person seemed to have been shot by Brother Gang using an unknown long-range method. Did Brother Gang have his own weapon? But he still cannot figure it out.